Good afternoon, everyone. Big day today. So 3 tiebreaks at Moscow Grand Prix. 3 names of semi-finalists will be determined today. To remind you, Radoslav Wojtaszek is already there in the semi-final after winning against Peter Svidler, and 3 other pairs will battle it out today in a shorter time controls. Daniel Yufa and myself, Evgeny Miroshnichenko, we are glad to welcome you here in this studio. And I believe today was a special occasion to start 10 minutes earlier, because we will go straight to the playing hall and see the drawing of lots for the colors for this tiebreak. I believe players should be there. Let's see. Not quite. Less than 10 minutes left, and I don't really see. Yeah, 4 out of players. Yes. So once again, let's remind who will play whom in this tiebreak, Daniel. So we can see Dubov walking.
Yes.
So his opponent is
Hikaru
Nakamura. Then this gentleman on the stage is Laurent Freud.
Yes,
the chief arbiter. The chief arbiter of the tournament. So a drawing of lots for the colors. I'm not sure how the procedure is going to be done. I mean, it will be done the old-fashioned way, right? So you pick the hand, and then the color of a pawn in this hand will determine the color you play. White. You play first game with.
Yeah. Also, we can see Jan Nepomniachtchi is just on the right side, VE. But I can barely see Wesley So, but there is still no Alexander Grischuk in the playing hall.
Yeah, so the pairs are Dubov Nakamura, Wesley So, and Jan Nepomniachtchi, who just did it. I have no idea what the color was. For Nakamura, it's black in game 1.
And looking at his face, I mean, we can see that probably he doesn't want to start with the black pieces.
So it will be, they will repeat, right?
Yeah.
So that they will repeat the color they had yesterday. And then, there is no Sasha Grischuk, so Wesley So will draw pick the hand and gets the white pawn. So once again, same color as yesterday. And honestly, I've missed the first Nepo against Wei. I just missed what color they will be playing. So we have Dubov Nakamura, we have Wesley So against Alexander Grischuk,
who is still absent, but I hope that.
Alex is still not here. Not that much time left. And to remind you, today it will be with shorter time controls. So 25 minutes. They start with a match of 2 games with 25 minutes plus 10 seconds per move.
And personally, I think that this time control is good for the quality of chess. I mean, personally, I think it's better than to start from 10 plus 10.
So 25 plus 10 is still kind of semi-longer game.
Between classical and rapid. So that's why probably we'll still see the very, very high quality of chess performed by the both players.
From this graphic, you can see what shall we expect today. So first, 2 games, 25 minutes plus 10 seconds. In case of a tie, once again, we progress to a shorter time controls, which is 10 plus 10. So same increment, but less starting time.
Yes, and at the screen we can see Dubov Nakamura pairing, which is probably considered as the most tense, because it's quite hard to understand who is the favorite in this pair, because as far as we know, Daniel is the current world rapid champion, and Hikaru Nakamura is well known
for his
shorter time control player.
So 10 plus 10, then 5 plus 3, and then in case of a tie, it says ARM, so it's Armageddon. Still not sure why they call it that. So that's a special game in which white gets 1 extra minute, but
they're obliged to win if they want to proceed.
Yeah, gives black draw odds. And I believe we will not show all the other graphics, because the names would change, but not the results. So everyone who is playing today, they made 2 draws against each other. So I believe we do have all the graphics, like for So and Grischuk, for Nepomniachtchi and Wei, but it's all the same. And so they repeat the colors from yesterday's round.
Probably.
Absolutely. So
Yeah,
Wei was white. No, Parent.
No.
Parent.
So
That's the only one which is different, actually. That's the only one which is different. Dubov was white. So was white, but Wei was black.
but
Yeah,
so
Wei was black.
and so you mean that so starts with black with white today,
Yeah,
right?
same as yesterday. Yeah, yesterday
Except
he was
except
playing.
Nepomniachtchi Wei pairing,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And we have a special guest to make move one. This time it will be, well, have to say my good friend, Mark Gluchovsky, Executive Director of Russian Chess Federation, and very, very
And
nice.
he's very he's very keen on chess. I mean,
Yeah, very
he's-
nice guy and a very dangerous blitz player. I believe has couple of international master norms. So well, and yeah, so that's kind of his main achievement. And when he's not busy playing chess, he's ruling Russian Chess Federation.
right.
Let's put it this way. Okay, so no Grischuk still. 4 minutes before the start, as you can see on the countdown, and we've said few words about Nakamura and Dubov both being very good in rapids. So what do we think of the other pairs? Wei and Nepomniachtchi, I'm not sure. Well, I am sure Jan is very
Yes.
good. Jan is known to be like really
Yeah, but
dangerous.
Me too. I still don't remember I mean, exceptional performances by Wei in Rapid and Blitz. So that's why I think we can consider Jan as a favorite
as
in
a
this frame.
favorite. But once again, yeah, well, technically we can say so. But once again, it's 2 games only, and it's not really a blitz, right? 3+2. So it's
still chess.
It will be decided on the board, right? And then, no matter how much of a favorite you are, you make one bad move, you lose this game, and then it's very hard to come back. It's a very, very short match. Yeah,
And
then
so against Grischuk.
and so against Grischuk, that's very tricky. And strangely enough, I would say that while it is rapid, I would actually think of Wesley So being slight favorite. Because I remember him playing, like really showing exceptional
In
results
Branches
in
Tour.
Branches Tour last year, especially in rapids.
Yeah, I may agree with you, but
he's kind of less of a favorite if it comes to blitz. I mean, and probably an underdog in this
Obviously.
particular pair because Grischuk
was a World Blitz champion.
World Blitz champion a couple of times,
Probably.
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Well, the thing is, however, I mean, first of all, you have to get to this blitz, which is like our 3rd time control, right? So first, it's going to be 25+10. Then, if tied, it will be 10+10, and only then it's blitz. And it's still a longer blitz compared to the official World Championship time control. So it's 5+3 here, and 3+2, 3 minutes plus 2 seconds when they play World Blitz Championship.
And despite the fact that all pairs are very tense and probably it's quite difficult to consider any of opponents the favorite in the pair, but I still think that Blitz would be an exceptional continuation of these matches because still 4 games to decide the player who will advance to the semifinals. And
Yeah, so it's you mean it's not very likely that we will see Blitz,
yes,
right? Even though I wouldn't mind personally, because it is fun, right? It is fun. And for instance, Dubov and Nakamura, yeah, I really, really want to see more of these guys playing each other. So, well, I'm actually not sure what's wrong with making a tiebreak a bit longer. Like instead of playing like 2 games, 25+10, it could have been like 15+10, but 4 games match. So 2 classics, then 4 rapids. If 4 rapids drawn, that let's go play 6 blitzes. So it will be like more chess. That's I mean, if it makes sense. Yeah, Grischuk arrives. Black short and black pieces in game 1.
Yeah, Grischuk is quite is very experienced being in time trouble, and now he shows that like 1 minute before the game might be enough him to come to the board.
Absolutely. So final announcement, I believe, from Laurent Freud, and the tiebreak will start. What do you think of the openings? It's like Wesley might change his mind, might play d4. That would be my prediction.
Probably, but we all know that all the players may start from e4 or c4 or d4. I mean, obviously at this
c4 from Dubov, that much we
c
know.
or d, I think, yes, because e is probably not the move that Dania makes usually.
e4?
E4,
Yeah, I mean,
yes, I
it
think
kind of requires
most
a
likely
special,
he's a d4 player.
special occasion, right? I mean, if let's say if he's 100% sure what his opponent does, then he might actually go for 1e4, but
And your
here
prediction came true. He started with c4, as we can see on the screen.
c4, so English opening, g3, the classical line. Oh well, that's very well studied. Bishop g2, so knight to b6. So no bishop c5.
Yeah.
To remind you, instead of knight b6, bishop c5 was
Played
played
in Dubov against Karakin.
already in quite a few games, but one of the most memorable ones is Dubov's win in
the World Cup.
In the World Cup, Tbilisi, a couple of years ago, it was versus Sergei Karyakin.
So the games have started, and we can see neither
Knight of variation for V and Nepomuchy, and
yes.
this time like a knight of with bishop g5 and f4, you know, the serious stuff.
And very aggressive.
Very aggressive setup, yes.
So white don't care sacrificing an opponent b2, which is considered as risky, according to some Vasily Ivanchuk's speeches, and he's probably one of the... Yeah, because as far as I know, Vasily Ivanchuk told that sacrificing the b pawn is
dangerous. Oh.
I mean, is dangerous for taking it with black.
Ah, yes, so it's like... no, I mean, since Fischer time, it's called poison pawn variation.
Right.
Yeah, it's not for nothing. And, alright, and Grischuk against Wesley, so they, well...
Is it?
It's the Sveshnikov, and this time, remember yesterday I've mentioned that there is... the line that... yeah, it's kind of... the line which used to be popular some 10 or more, 15 years back. Yeah, before they actually switched to what we had seen yesterday, before they switched to completely positional approach, right? And this one is much more complex, and we do have it on the board. So once again, very interesting stuff. One would think you want to play more complex position with more chances in classical, when you have more time, right? But interestingly, players think the other way around. So in classics, something, you know, very clean, very solid, but then when it comes to rapid, okay, let's try to surprise the opponent.
Maybe just any player considers himself as a very good tactical player, and I think Wesley saw, I mean, playing against Grischuk.
What just happened? Was it the position, knight d7? What's with knight b5? I mean, I believe it's known, but it's like...
Yeah, probably it's just the game, or probably it's some very well-known line. Maybe I can start with... Okay, we can just try it on the board. Well, Alexander is still thinking.
Because, I mean, I don't know if you take on d5, maybe that's the...
Yeah, but that's quite risky.
Yeah, then bishop f5. I mean, that's weird. That's weird. I'm actually not sure. Well, it might as well be that you just do not react. I mean, maybe you just don't take. Knight b5, and then you just play, I don't know, bishop g7, and then castle the next move. And
yeah, personally, I'm not very common with Sveshnikov. I mean, this very line, but knight b5 looks at least considerable.
I mean, that's... Yeah, at least you have to know the answer. Yeah, your opponent takes the pawn. The knight, of course, cannot be taken because check, and it's a disaster. So, well, yeah, that's quite possible that he goes bishop g7, castles short, and then claims some compensation.
Yeah, probably bishop g7 there is just a good move because probably the knight has to go back.
Now the knight is hanging. Yeah, if knight goes to c3, then once again, I mean, you probably start with castling, and then you know, rook b8, e4 is play on the queen side, and as well, of course, if you have the majority on the king side, you always can try for knight g6. I mean, e4, knight g6, and some king side initiative.
Usually, we can see some pawn sacrifices in Sveshnikov lines because black counterplay has to be at least, I mean, sufficient.
Alright, so in our game, instead, the pawn on b5 was not taken. He has played rook e1, bishop to g7, c3, castle short, knight to c2. That's the key idea.
The knight is proceeding to
Yeah, he wants to press
or to
on
e3.
Yeah, he wants to press on
Probably,
f5.
yeah.
And usually, yeah, the knight on a3 was not doing all that much. Yeah.
f4 restricting the knight, but allowing some.
f4 preparing to play f5.
Yes,
because
obviously.
he's got 2 pawns,
Yeah.
right? So f4, next move f5. Well, I believe it still has to be known for both players.
Can white start with a4 there?
Yeah, I think that's what he does. a4, and then very often, I think it's practically forced that black will sacrifice the pawn this way or another on the queen side. Maybe just taking ba4, rook a4, and
a5.
okay, a5 is possible, but I mean, for some reason, I think they just go f5 and
Yes, because probably the pawn is not hanging.
f5. It's not even hanging because of queen b6.
Yes,
Yeah.
but okay, there is still some knight b4, but probably white's pieces are out of the main part of the board, because probably black's next move will be like knight
Yeah,
g6, and that's a typical counterplay for this kind of positions.
Yeah, that's actually a lot of games or a lot of strategies is based on such thing. Like, you give your opponent some material, you give him a chance to attack your queen side usually while you attack the game. Well, the most transparent example being the King's Indian.
Yes,
I've never understood white who is going for all those sharp
like
lines in the King's Indian, because you're attacking the queen side. Your trim is like to take the pawn and then 40, but he's attacking your king.
Yes.
So that's exactly the same thing here.
I think that you just read my mind, because I wanted to tell that Alexander is well known for playing King's Indian
yeah,
defense
right.
for some period of
absolutely
time,
right.
and he might be very, very common with the typical ideas of how to
so if
attack with the
something
bishop
like
on
that,
g7.
if something like that happens, yeah, obviously he wouldn't mind such scenario.
I
So
think
far, a4 is not yet played. So after f4, Wesley
Wesley
is
still thinking.
Yeah. By the way, after f4, a4, d5 pawn is never hanging. Yeah.
Positionally, I
is
think
always-
it's never hanging, at least because of course, bishop e4 probably is the strongest continuation, but I mean, if the rook has been on b8,
Yeah,
white can
here
simply take
in
on
this
h7.
position, yeah, bishop e4, but even if not, but just taking on h7, king h7, queen d5.
And obviously, knight is stronger than the bishop
Yeah,
on
the
g7.
knight is superior to the bishop, and then d6 starts to be hanging. Yeah, so in fact, white's pawn on d5 kind of secures that black is not running into immediate disaster on the queen side and in the center. So it's in black's best interest to keep the center closed. So, unlike the classical game, this is very, very promising. I mean, there's definitely going to be something in this game. Let's move on. We have 2 more pairs. Dubov against Nakamura. That's an English opening. A lot of moves played quickly. I believe, yeah. Here, g3, d5. Well, bishop b4 is another move, of course, but d5, yeah, d5 is used to be like the main move for a very, very long time. Essentially, they're playing a dragon variation of Sicilian with colors reversed, and therefore the side who plays the dragon, this time it's white, having an extra tempo. And this kind of gives you the idea that it's very unlikely that black can play as white does the aggressive way. So, well, it's very unlikely that black will castle long, and succeed in those attacks, because, yeah, even in in normal dragon, it's not clear.
Extra tempo matters.
Yeah, and of course you can imagine in all those sharp positions with opposite colors how much of a value this extra tempo is. So that's very common. Black simply plays bishop e7, castle short, so more of a positional approach. But after bishop e7, b3 was played. While usual move being d3 or a3 first, preparing b4, but nevertheless playing d2, d3 later on, right?
But after d3, the game proceeds to the very, very calm lines. I mean,
castles,
probably
then you have
one of the most solid lines for black after playing, for example, bishop e3, is just to simply play rook e8 and bishop
rook
f8.
e8, bishop f8. And funny enough, that system is quite poisonous with colors reversed as well. I mean, if with white you you're not ready to play the opposite castle dragon. I mean,
Obviously.
you can do this. Rook e8, putting the bishop on f8, and then going knight d4. I believe that's the whole idea behind this little move, rook e8. Okay, so b3, castles, bishop b2, preparing to fianchetto this bishop. Yeah, rook to e8 nevertheless, rook c1, bishop f8. Well, more or less.
So I think that
Usual
Daniil
thing.
just came to play chess to avoid the direct theory, the main lines, but obviously this position, I think it might have been encountered in some games because the moves are very logical, and at least some players who didn't prepare properly, they just know that they can put their bishop on b2, play rook c1, play d3, and just play.
Okay, so black goes with his knight d4,
e3.
e3, knight takes, queen takes.
And this position reminds me one of the recent games between Carlsen and Anish Giri, because
I
the
think
pawn
that was.
structure
I think that
was
was
very,
exactly,
very
I mean, if not
similar.
exactly the same, but very, very similar. Yeah, the one from Shamkir chess, right? So that's April this year we are talking about. Queen f3, and then later on Magnus...
The knights were traded, and
yeah, the knights came off the board. Magnus went with queen h5 and f4 somewhere. So, and knowing the fact that Dubov was in Magnus's camp while Magnus was preparing for the World Championship
Yes.
title match.
knowing the fact that Daniil was the second of Magnus Carlsen, we can claim that probably Daniel knows at least not less than Magnus.
Yeah, it could have been that this line was the line they've looked at together.
But
so c6, I believe, was
c6
played.
first.
Oh no, wait.
I think rook fd1, queen g5, and h4. All of a sudden,
Queen g5.
Queen g5.
All right.
Looks a bit
Yeah,
unnatural.
that's a bit artificial, right? I can get the idea that you want to move the queen somewhere,
or even to trade, but the endgames may be in white's favor. I
so
mean, like
queen g5. Well, first of all, it's quite straightforward. You create the idea of going bishop g4.
Yes.
So white reacts with h4 and queen g4 is played. Yeah, usually those endgames are somewhat more pleasant for white, right?
right, because white have a clear plan connected with pushing the queen side pawns, trying to scratch the c6 pawn to open the diagonal for the bishop, and the plan is quite obvious.
Yeah, and then it's somewhat strangely this like mini center on e3 and d3.
Yeah.
It's also quite flexible because sometimes white's gonna go with d4, sometimes just bring the king to e2, which seems useful. Yeah, so knight e4 is actually the start of once again very common maneuver. The knight goes to c5,
forcing black to trade the bishop for the knight, allowing a pair of bishops for white, which is
it might be, it might be slightly unpleasant for Naka.
right. And probably this is not the type of positions which Naka really, is comfortable in. So probably
it's like, well, not the type of position he enjoys the most. Yeah, I agree, because his approach, as far as I can see it as of now, I mean, we used to know different Nakamura, obviously, like some 10 years ago. He was King's Indian player. He was just playing very, very sharp chess.
obviously Nakamura had to change.
Yeah,
he had to change his style because
when you get to this
level,
elite levels,
you have to adjust your type of play.
You have to be more solid. And now, being more solid for Hikaru means like a lot of openings he's playing to equalize directly. What we've seen yesterday in the Catalan, right?
Obviously.
So right off the opening, he gets symmetrical position. Well, perhaps with tiny bit of initiative for his opponent, but the game is not lasting for long. You have the clear plan to equalize. Here, white can keep the game going for a substantial amount of time. And it might not be to Hikaru's liking. A5 makes a lot of sense, I believe, to restrict white preventively so that he's not playing a3, b4 is not advancing over
Obviously. And probably a3 is not that good move because of bishop e6.
Bishop e6, yeah. Bishop
And
e6
all
and
of a
then
sudden
b3, b3 is not very comfortable to defend. Yeah, I believe you go knight c5 instead.
Yes, but probably...
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
before that, because now knight c5...
No, we just take on c5 and take on b3 with the tempo.
Absolutely. And then knight a4 comes, yeah. No, so one move earlier, you go knight c5. And then...
Do we force black to take the knight?
No, but that would be a disaster for black. I mean, at least at first glance. Now, by the way, we're gonna see what black's reaction is. I thought, well, I'm not claiming that it's a good reaction, but the principal reaction, since white didn't play a3, is to go a4, and when you play b4, to go a3. I don't know.
One of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, usually, it's very typical. Black goes a5, white goes a3. Like, automatically.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why usually it happens. Even though I'm not sure if this inclusion is particularly good for...
Yeah, destructing the pawn structure is one of the main ideas.
Getting the pawn on a3 is nice, right? a4's played. a4's played. I believe white's reaction is practically
Bishop
automatic.
A1. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, before
a3, and then, yeah, bishop to a1 or c3, whatever. So now the good thing for white is that black can't really play bishop e6 just yet. White, on the other hand, it's not that easy to say what white wants. Okay, let me play knight a4 now. Knight a4.
By the way, do you create a threat of taking on c5?
Yeah, this position would be once again very hard to judge if I take on c5 with the knight.
But then you have something like bishop e6.
And bishop e6, yeah. The other thing is that I might put this knight on b2. This knight from a4.
Yes, and it will be very annoying for
yeah,
it.
it will be very annoying because it's not clear if you want to take it twice. So we shall see. Now a4 is played. That's perhaps the first moment in the game where Dubov is starting to think for real, because before that he has spent a couple of minutes, I believe, mostly recalling the lines, or, well, what he did was pretty logical, of course.
And at the same...
Yeah, so let's go to this position after a4.
Yeah, so a4, b4,
yeah,
which is most likely to be played.
I'm thinking, is there a world where you're capturing on a4? Not clear. Yeah.
Maybe because of knight takes bishop takes c5
bishop
immediately.
c5, knight a4. No,
or even knight takes
knight
a4
is also fine, absolutely fine. Yeah, because in such positions, it's really. I mean, sometimes it's good for white, sometimes it's good for black, right? So if white would have, like, his rooks on b1, c1 already,
it will be okay.
But still might not be enough. Yeah.
But then I play d4.
Daniel finds third solution. So he plays d4, using the fact that e4 in this particular case is not yet possible. Because that's once again the typical reaction. If white goes d4, black is supposed to go e4 and block the center, right? So
Nakamura proceeds with the most logical continuation.
So at least the rook on a8 now is working.
Yeah, so maybe we can
even rook a2
make
is
intermediate
not out
rook
of
a2.
consideration. Rook a2. Well, okay, bishop perhaps has to go.
And this move requires a very precise and very.
Okay, bishop c3, I suppose. Yeah. So yeah, that's tricky.
Maybe this position is just playable for both colors, because
rook a2 is played. Yeah.
I think at least black can
take. Black takes. Yeah. Black takes. Bishop takes. Well,
creating a kind of a threat, like taking on b7.
A bit awkward for black. Yeah. A bit awkward. I mean, you have to, for instance, you have to know the answer. If knight d5 is
a good
bad
move,
or terribly bad, or just a good move. I mean, knight d5, and I suppose the principal thing is to take it. Yeah. I mean that initially was the thought, just to take, pawn takes, and how. I mean, what kind of position is that? Because yes, black is getting an isolated pawn on d5. On the other hand, I mean, if he's allowed to play like bishop g4, bishop f3, Now white king is not very happy. The rook on a2 is, well, does something. Let's not forget, in some position you just take on c5, yeah?
Yeah, knight a4 looks a bit awkward, right?
Knight a4 to put it on c3.
To put on c3, but yes, it's a threat because after rook a5 we have bishop b6 at some point.
So bishop g4, for instance.
And is it good for white to trade a couple of rooks?
It's like to go rook a1.
Yes, rook a1, but probably...
I might want to keep them on the board, like going rook c2 or
yeah, if it just
rook c1, the other rook to c8, yeah, and then knight c3,
and then knight c3,
knight c3, black takes, black takes on c1, goes bishop b4 or bishop f3. I mean, I wanted to make a draw or claim that I'm making a draw with bishop b4. Bishop f3 is probably just a better move.
It's ambitious, at least.
It's just a better move. So hard to say. Well, rook a2 played and bishop c3 was not played automatically, so we can, I believe, leave this game here in a complicated, let's call it complex endgame or queenless middle game, because a lot of pieces are still on the board, so all the middle game motifs, and in one of our lines it actually felt, the weakness of white king, so that's still...
But all of a sudden, in the variation that we were looking at, in the end we can see that white's king
is, it's pretty awkward actually, right? I mean...
Okay, we can see that it is in real danger, but we should be very patient with some motives connected with some...
White has to be a bit careful, let's put it this way. Yeah. So, game 3. It's Wei Nepomniachtchi. Is that the position?
I think yes.
Whoa.
Probably it was just a long theory.
Whoa. We've mentioned, we said what? Sicilian, right?
Yes.
So we are switching to Wei and Nepomniachtchi, and I believe during the classical part, that was game 1 when Wei had white, I've mentioned that I do remember him playing sharp lines in knight of with bishop g5, and in the classical game he decided to go for bishop b5 check, but today the time has come. Queen b6, queen d2, takes rook b1, queen a3. That's always mysterious. I mean, some people prefer to play h6 first and then go for queen b6, but then you allow bishop f2, which is another story, right?
Yeah, so a5, it is still obviously a theory. Pawn takes, bishop takes.
Bishop takes.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's just one of the continuations. F takes or bishop takes. I think bishop takes is not less logical, because while you're a pawn up, you want to trade as many pieces not to allow some attacking chances, and taking on e6 means, okay, obviously by the way it was played by Wei E, but I mean, like, we are trading the knight, which possibly can be dangerous in some attacking positions.
Black reduces white's attacking potential, let's put it this way.
Bishop c4, knight bd7, which is very, very principal.
d7 gives, well, the variety of options. You can take e6, you can take b7. Okay, he has taken the pawn on e6, looks like a testier pawn, of course. And then knight c5. If not for knight c5, I believe black's position would have been terrible, right? But then...
Yes, but if we look at the clock, we can see that Nepomniachtchi has already spent most of the time.
Nepo is on 10 minutes, while Wei simply blitzed everything out.
And I'm trying to check where exactly was the moment where Nepomniachtchi started to think.
Because till that moment he was playing pretty fast, right?
G6 for 30 seconds, maybe.
Okay, g6, bishop h3, so provoking g6. He decided he needs
and
this.
4 minutes for
knight takes e4.
Considering knight takes e4.
Which, in such position, this move might lose on the spot. Obviously. I mean, it's very, very risky unless you know it, right? So takes.
Yeah, so Wei's reaction was very principled. Queen d4.
Queen d4, yeah.
So it's a double attack.
Attacking the rook on h8, the knight on The knight on e4, queen c3,
which is the only one.
Strictly only.
But maybe
move.
queen a5 check was also an option. I'm not sure if it was a good one, but at least we
queen
can.
a5 check. Hard to say what white's supposed to do. Is it king e2?
Or maybe rook b4, which is a bit weird, but so
before
we're pinning ourselves, but maybe it's not enough for black to equalize.
Yes, it's once again, if you take g5, white takes on h8.
Yes.
Then you might come with a bright idea. Instead of taking on g5, you might come with a bright idea that, okay, yeah, the king was not moving, the rook was not moving, let's castle, but then bishop e6 is mate in 1.
Unfortunately.
That's... no, it's not.
Because of rook f7.
Yeah.
No, but I think it wasn't like that.
Then you take and you castle
Jan,
yourself.
Yeah, that Jan wanted to
And
at least calculate.
Yeah, then you castle yourself, then
yeah,
you
obviously
take on e4.
it would be a disaster for black.
Okay, so Jan decided to trade the queens with queen c3, takes, and bishop e7, and here... Oh,
so it's still a prep.
That's curious, it looks like.
Yes, but there is not a lot of moves for white to play because the rook is hanging.
Yeah, bishop e7, you have to know it. No, to me, it's absolutely not obvious why black cannot take the rook on b1.
Maybe because just of the strong compensation.
So what's the material? Black is an exchange and the pawn up.
So, and the question is...
can take on d6.
Yeah, I think it's
right?
the most logical. So there is no castles allowed for black.
Okay, some rook d8. Yeah, well, it's still not entirely clear. How do you do it? Just go to b4
or even e5.
Yeah, bishop e5 I thought, and then
rook f8.
Yeah. This kind of looks fine for black because black is threatening knight d2.
And they have some material.
Yeah, so possibly it's bishop b4 to try to, to restrict the knight. Well, not obvious at all. Not obvious at all. Anyway, king e7 was played pretty fast.
But it may be a kind of prep because after king e7, Wei just spent 3 seconds to play rook b3 while you have an option to take on b7 with check, which is very tasty.
So it kind of gives you an idea. Yeah, rook b6.
Yeah, so probably Jan also was recalling the theory or the analysis. And knight e4 is played for 2.5 minutes.
Then it's a check on b7, king f6. You don't want to go back to 8th rank, yeah. King f6, castles with a check, king g5. And that's the... looks like that's the position we have.
G3 was played by
G3
Wei,
was played
rook
and
b8.
rook went to b8.
Rook a7.
Rook b2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very, very sharp line. And
so materials equal.
And I don't know how to evaluate this one because the king looks, at the first sight, it looks safe, but there are still some threats connected with probably rook f4, rook g4. It may be just a check, but still, at least you have to consider it.
Yeah, well, bishop g2 followed with h4 sometimes, yeah, it's like not an easy position to access.
So what to do there with white? Probably bishop g2 is the most natural, disturbing the knight.
Yeah, not clear where the knight is going.
Yeah, maybe knight d2.
Yeah, knight d2, and then say he goes... Yeah, rook a4 though, black takes on a2, says, you know what, I don't see any threats.
Or on c2 probably.
Or c2, yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure, because like you take c2, white at least can change his mind and take on a6.
Yeah, but maybe this one is just better for white because of simple rook d1, forcing black to take, probably.
Ah, yeah, so it's like if black takes on c2, then you take on a6, and you have this a passed pawn.
Which can be a decisive factor because of the bishop.
Yeah, supported with the bishop, and generally, right, if sides have passed pawns.
Yeah, if we imagine
bishop,
if we trade rooks, white will be simply, I think, winning.
Yeah, very close to winning. Yeah, well, depends, of course, if black will be in time to return his king, but yeah, being as
or
it
to
is,
trade
if
some
we just
pawns, yeah.
remove all the rooks from the board, white's to move, white goes a4, then it's a very good chance that white is just winning.
Yeah, so Jan has just to keep the rooks and keep creating some counterplay connected with the fact that knight is a very, very strong piece in terms of creating threats for the king.
So let's go back and instead of bishop g2, what else can they play? Yeah, I wanted to point out that the time difference, the fact that Jan Nepomniachtchi is down to 10 minutes, might play its role at some point as well.
And despite the fact that they already reached the endgame, it's still tricky, and still you have to spend time to calculate a lot because white have a variety of options. And
look, if we were happy with this position, with the position with a pawn, passed pawn, why don't we take on a6 immediately?
probably black has to take on c2.
He could do it. He can try to do it with the other rook, though. He might try to play rook c8, right? That's like
yes, h7.
No, rook c8 is
no, it's just captured.
That's controlled. Yeah. Well, pardon me, I'm blind. Rook takes c2. Who knows? There is a feeling that white is better in such positions.
But I think the very next move is rook b8.
Rook b8, and imagine you play rook b8, and you play, and even you have the possibility to go to b2. But what's then? And then you take my pawn on h2.
Like, even if we lose a d pawn, we'll create the threats till very end because of some perpetual check ideas. So it's quite unclear, and maybe it's just better wait for the players because they know themselves, and they understand chess better. So bishop g2 is played first.
d5 without any hesitation. d5.
But I think it's a good one. I mean, like, at least first of all we have to check c4 probably, but after c4 we just can simply play knight d2. I think. Yes, just winning a pawn. Yeah, it was a blunder. Yes, so d5 is very principled because trading the bishop for the knight means that white is no more pretending for an advantage.
Yeah, rook takes a6, I suspect.
Rook c2
and rook a5,
pinning everything.
Yeah. So now that the knight on e4 is hanging, as well as the pawn on d5. Knight f6 is not a move because of h4, right?
But maybe knight c3
knight
still.
c3 with the same idea. Yeah, knight c3 is possible.
Yeah,
because
so
this position after white takes on d5, knight d5, rook d5, that's very likely a draw, right? King h6. And thanks to black's active pieces, yeah, rook f2, and I suppose he can actually take. Yeah, he can actually take. King takes, rook a8. White's forced to d2, and then rook a3. Yeah, expand on the king side as much as possible. King g5, h5.
Yeah, so creating some counterplay, but white's main plan is to
drag the king to b2 and then start moving the pawns.
And probably it may be problematic for black to make a draw because like everything is well defended, and even if you play king g5, king g4, yeah, so it's most principle. So I just continue.
Go to g4,
making my
king c2
plan came true.
Go to c1, yeah, go to h3, king b2, and then rook a8.
Yeah,
and this so-called frontal attack, right? King b3, and then black gives checks all the time, waiting for the king to hide on a1, and then goes back to a8.
So black is just in time to create some counterplay.
Okay, that's far, far away from reality, but
it may occur.
Yeah, it's kind of to summarize all that. Is that if black forces white in some way to exchange the bishop for the knight, then he's doing fine. Right, let's move to some other game, because while this is a tricky endgame, we do have some positions with many more pieces, and hopefully we'll see some, some middle game fight as well.
Yeah, so against Grischuk.
Yeah, we can
the game that we started with.
We can check again Wesley So against Alexander Grischuk. Yeah, well, that's a very, very rich position. And look what happens here. Indeed, after f4, a4 was played. Yeah, f4, that's what we've seen. We said a4.
Is it the same line that we were...
More or less.
Yeah,
more or less.
Knight
so
b4
a4 and then knight b4 first. Knight b4 first. Black plays f5.
So probably the point that after an a5, knight c6.
Knight gets to c6, and it's probably
Is it
annoying.
that's annoying? I mean, obviously I don't want to take on c6, but probably I just can simply play queen c7, trying to show that I'm okay even with the knight on c6.
Queen a4.
Maybe now I can take on d5 because I have knight f6 after. But there is something like bishop h7
still makes it unclear, right?
Yeah.
Even though here I wouldn't really be sure that white is better. King takes, queen e4 check, f5, queen d5, and some move. Rook c8.
Rook c8, knight a5. Yeah, so it's still unclear. I mean, but I think it's easier to play this one with white because black have to consider any threat, and queen plus knight in these middle games is quite dangerous for the king.
Yeah, strangely enough, we were talking about black attacking the king, yeah, but in this position, black is nowhere near. So f5 was played, bishop takes a6, so, well, black simply doesn't care about his king side anymore. Knight to g6.
Queen h5.
Queen h5, so, well, perhaps... Well, it's not really an attacking move, but perhaps a prophylactics against
yeah, but was it a prevention
black's
against
move,
something? I mean, did black really make a threat after playing knight g6 and were white obliged to play queen g5? Probably, yeah. Capturing g5 square.
Or something, yeah. So that's why. Yeah, it's like it's nice here on h5. It's not very easy to kick it off, and it does control some squares. Black goes queen b6. Rook takes a4 and e4. Well, that's thematic move. e4 and then f3 in many positions.
I think the engine may evaluate this one as better for white and give white better chances, but I think now it's easier to play with black because the plan is quite clear.
Human standpoint, once again, yeah, you did sacrifice the pawn with black, but then for the rest of the game your plan is clear, and it's sort of easier to play in some way that you don't, there is no way back. You have to attack the king.
Yeah.
Okay, so e4, and what's the time spent on those previous moves? They both spent quite a lot. Yeah. So here I believe the situation on the clock is roughly equal. There isn't like a big gap. I think Wesley played another move. Wait, the rook from e1 went to a1, so to free the bishop so that the bishop can go back to f1 if needed. So how to follow up with black?
Should we really consider e3?
My problem with e3 is that white might not react to this, which will lead to a strange looking position, right? Or maybe he does react. Maybe he goes... it's not clear at all. Yeah, I thought like...
Probably e3 is not the move that you really want to make because we're allowing additional squares for white's queen. We're like losing some white color spots and...
Yeah, so the move when you have such pawns, e4, f4, so well, kind of feels f3 feels better, right? f3 first, and then if he somehow
f3 looks at least more aesthetical.
Yeah, so f3 first, that's what you want to do. But the problem is I'm not sure what happens if white takes.
Okay, knight f4, queen h4. The only one.
Yeah. Knight f4, by the way, yeah, queen h4 is the only move not to lose on a spot, but might be a sufficient one. And then who knows if black has enough. Because white's next move is bishop f1, where bishop's gonna play a defensive role, and also a pair of rooks will likely come off the board.
Yes, this remains unclear.
King h8. A very calm play. Not deciding which pawn is supposed to go third or first. So I expect bishop f1 from Wesley. Very likely to be played.
Or bishop e2.
Bishop e2 to keep it on. Yeah, but then I go f3.
Then f3, yes.
I mean, I trade
Yes,
on
obviously,
f4
yeah.
first. Trade on f4
And
first,
there-
then go f3.
A beautiful
and
tactic.
yeah, and then white is in danger.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, looking at this position, you know, yes, white is up a pawn, but that's like queenside pawn, which is not likely to move in the nearest future. Like b2, how dangerous is the b2 pawn as of now? I mean, it's not going anyway. It's not going anywhere. It's not
Yeah, but
promoting.
b2 pawns make sense because it defends the
Yeah,
3
obviously
pawn and
It
restricts
does
the
play
black
some role.
bishop.
Yeah, but it's like you are not really afraid of a b2 pawn as of now with black, while your pawn formation e4, f4, f5 looks threatening.
Obviously.
So that's why I really feel
Yeah, so
like
bishop f1. I mean, no, but Grischuk is still thinking. But I don't know.
f1 wasn't played, I believe.
Ah, so what's the
King
thing?
h8, yeah.
I saw
it's
that
like
Grischuk is just
Grischuk was about to make a move. You mean?
about to make a move. Yes.
Could it be not bishop f1, but something else? What else can you play?
Playing rook ea1 means that probably.
Yeah, then your next
very
move
next
is
move,
with the
yeah.
bishop. I thought of a sneaky move, bishop b5, but it's like, yeah, I mean, obviously
Yeah.
black cannot take on b5. Yeah, bishop f1 play. Bishop f1.
Trade.
Rook takes, yeah.
And what was the point of king h8? I mean, obviously it's better to put your king on the black square while your opponent has a white square
Yeah,
bishop.
just not to have to worry about some tactics connected with, you know, with checks. Apparently, I don't see black using the g file that much. I can tell. I was like, it's not like king h8 is a preparation for
Yeah,
rook
yeah.
g8. That's
Because
very,
f5 pawn will be king
that's
all the
very
time.
unlikely.
And what is the plan for black? It's not so clear at all.
Still has to be f3 at some point.
Yes, f3.
F3. And this point is right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Unlikely. It is the right moment to play g3 because
Yeah, I
queen
mean,
is out
if
of
white
it.
plays g3, then yeah, first of all, your queen is locked out of the business, and secondly, now even some endgames, I mean, with such pawns like f3, e4, there is no endgame anywhere near, but you know.
Yeah. But still they may occur.
And Wesley shows that he has
Yeah, but
another option.
maybe
Rook
it's just
to
an
a6,
intermediate.
an
Yeah.
intermediate move. Kind of forcing the queen. Wait,
Yeah,
but
so
the queen is happy to leave. Queen d8. Let's play queen d8. Point
you
being
know,
that
like I was also considering silly queen c5, provoking white to play rook c6 and then queen a5.
queen a5 getting access to the first
Yes,
rank.
but the problem is that white is threatening to take on g6 there.
Yeah, but knight f4. This
Well,
I'm
yes.
not sure what's going on. Queen h4. There is knight e2, and I'm afraid it's really bad for
Yes.
white. Because
Yeah, simply black wins there.
yeah, so you could go queen g5, after which it's still unclear, because now knight e2, bishop takes, pawn takes, you have queen c1, and who knows what's that. It's very sharp, and by intuition I can say that black has to have enough resources. I don't know, for some reason I believe in black's position.
Maybe suddenly we can start with this one.
Yeah, bishop b5 is
Because
nice.
I can see the very
Yeah.
beautiful threat. For example, if white plays rook d7, is
Knight
there something like
h3.
knight
Yeah,
h3?
knight h3. And rook
Taking
g8.
rook g8.
This should be winning completely.
But there is something like queen takes, king takes, and knight c6,
Knight
which is
c6.
very,
Ah,
very, or maybe
still
it's
fighting.
clear. I mean,
It's never clear. Maybe it is in this particular case. You can still,
yeah, there are still a lot of tricks.
funny enough, e3 in this position might not lose on the spot. You take the queen and we go e2.
Wow.
I mean, I'm accepting no responsibility for those lines, but that's fun to analyze, obviously.
That's right.
And you can imagine how much of a calculation those players have to do. By the way, the same thing, the same idea was played by Grischuk. So he went queen c5. The rook is still on a6. I thought perhaps to try to improve a little on your idea that after rook c6 we go queen a7, and maybe it is.
Yeah, so we're
maybe
taking the
it
seventh
makes
rank.
sense. Yeah, we control the seventh rank, but as well we keep the queen on this diagonal. So the biggest disappointment would be to repeat the moves, to be honest, because queen a7's played, queen a7's on the board, and I'm thinking, what's
Wesley may play rook a6.
yeah,
back.
what's black's move after rook a6? Because
Queen e7 is probably not the move that Grischuk really wants to make, because it allows knight c6 with
this would
tempo.
lead to the same. By the way, I have no clue why it is bad. Queen e7, let's say, because you could go queen d8 from b6 and then knight c6, queen f6.
Yep.
That also is not clear to me. Point being that white cannot take, yeah, queen f6, and white cannot take the pawn because knight f4.
Knight f4
and knight f4 is a threat,
yeah.
by the way. Knight f4 is just a threat.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the queen got stuck on h5. The queen got really stuck on h5. So
His
here
g3 is such a weird move.
you kind of forced to play g3, after which, once again, I don't know what's happening, because
The only thing that I don't like in black's position is that the pieces are a bit restricted, and obviously knight e5 trading, given an option to trade a pair of knights is not that really
not what you
Grischuk
want. Yeah.
was.
All right, so very, very complex. We are shown it, yeah, a nice angle so that we can see the times of the time of the players. 6 minutes each. Queen a7, Wesley thinking.
And I think it's a very nice psychological decision by Grischuk, because
Rook
while
a6 played. Rook a6 played. Yeah, and they're repeating.
when it comes to the time trouble.
Wait, so they've repeated twice. I believe now it's Grischuk's turn, or rather his decision, because yeah, if he goes queen c7, that's threefold repetition allowed for Wesley. So queen c5, pardon, not queen c7, queen c5. The way to continue fight, as I said, going somewhere like queen e7, which is a bit risky, right? Knight c6, queen f6, and indeed g3.
Yeah, so once again this line. By the way, can we play queen f7 instead of queen f6?
Yeah, we can.
But then we're kind of pinning our knight.
Oh, e8, yeah, we could go to e8.
I mean, the idea was to take on d5.
To take
yeah.
on d5, yeah.
So it's a draw, agreed.
Draw agreed. Well, to my disappointment, I have to say, because that was a very, very interesting, very promising position. But, well, who can blame the players? They know better what to expect. Dubov and Nakamura, we haven't seen this one for ages. Ah, that's the position, and not impressed, to be honest. It doesn't look promising for Daniil Dubov. I mean, black's to move, right?
Yeah, but maybe he's
you
forcing
mean
to
how
play
do-
bishop e4.
How do I defend d5 pawn?
Okay, I mean, taking on c5 and playing bishop
Yeah,
e4.
actually a capture. Well, can I start with... No, check wouldn't make any sense, yeah? This might be a draw as well. Just go there. Bishop e4. I'm threatening an annoying check on b1. Yes. So white supposedly has to go. King f1 is possible. Bishop f3.
King e1, I think.
King e1. And rook b2, and should be a draw. So I'm always threatening, like, to give a check and then to just go
Yeah.
back. For in case of c6, for example. Well, c6, I also have rook c2, but that's like the most transparent way. I'm just going rook e2 check, king to f1, and then moving the rook back.
Yeah, but isn't it playable for... No,
You
bishop
mean to try
e7
to play for
yeah.
black.
I mean, like rook
Bishop
c2.
e7 was played by Naka. Bishop e7. Does it mean that Dubov can't take the pawn?
I don't know.
What happens after rook d5?
Okay. So let's check it.
Alright, maybe it's just a clever way to make a draw. Bishop takes c5 now. And if you take with the pawn, then it's rook b1, king h2, rook king h2, bishop d5. It's winning for black.
Yes.
So it's not a clever way to make a draw. It's kind of a clever way to win in this case. So rook d5,
yeah,
bishop
but
c5. You take
rook
with the
f5,
rook.
yeah.
Obviously, you take with the rook. No, if you take f5, bishop d4, I thought it's just a draw. Yeah?
Yes, but it is, I think, because after rook f4, at
You
least I have a check.
You could take c5 pawn with c5 bishop with the rook, and then you are still a pawn up, which is very unlikely that white's gonna win this one with all those like light square weaknesses. But technically, he's still a pawn up. Bishop d.
Yes, but the
bishop
question is
d4.
why bishop e7 was played by Nakamura, because I think so.
If you wanted,
yeah,
he could take on c5 immediately.
saving
yeah?
the d5 pawn at least.
Alright, bishop e7, rook d5. Well, perhaps
Maybe
bishop
there is some
c5 is not the
tactics.
idea. Maybe there is like bishop g4 or something, because white's pieces are arranged in a really awkward way.
Maybe g6. No, just simply
Bishop to c8.
Whoa,
Bishop to c8.
it's a very finesse.
Okay, so that means the knight is not moving, right? Knight d3, there is a check from b1 followed by bishop b7.
Yeah, but if I start with king f1, for example.
King f1 here. Rook b5?
Was an idea to play
Rook
bishop
b5,
b7
and
or
then the
bishop
knight,
e8?
yeah, the rook's stuck, the knight is, the knight is pinned, next move bishop e6 or bishop b7. All of a sudden it might spell a trouble for white. So how do you keep everything?
I have no idea.
Yeah, which brings me to the conclusion that maybe this capture on d5 was a bit too hasty. I was in
Yeah, so bishop c8, king
bishop
f1 is played.
c8, king f1 is played.
Yeah, and rook b5
Rook
is
b5, does he
is a brilliant idea.
Yeah, rook b5, how do you escape the...
Yes, but the position when, I mean, like,
Yeah, it's
in,
like
in a few moves, black will take an exchange. I think it may be undefendable for white
king
because
e2 for I mean, probably he has to go king e2. Now the question is, yeah, maybe bishop b7
no,
is
bishop
more-
b7 is probably rook
he
d7.
allows rook d7,
Yeah, so
you're
bishop
right.
e6.
Bishop b6, but then perhaps he just takes, no?
Yeah.
He just takes rook d5, knight f4, and maybe he's claiming that that's enough. But it's not.
It's playable. I mean,
It's not. It's black is much better, right? Black is much better. Just an exchange for a pawn.
so at some point it may convert to 3-on-3 with an extra exchange, or 2-on-2,
Yeah,
which may not be a draw, but
that's
you never know.
that's clear that Naka has got chances after rook b5. That's that much I can tell you. And considering the time control, you have to imagine it will all break down to really to some technical position. We don't know if we will be like theoretically winning or possibly theoretical draw, but still you have to defend it with 10 seconds increments. So you're running out of time sooner or later, and then so that's a good chance for Naka to score with black, which more or less would mean the end of the match, considering 25 seconds, 25
Yeah.
minutes time control.
More
so
or
you
less
can play-
classical game, but he
you
has
can
white
play
pieces.
a normal game, yeah, having the white pieces. You are happy with the draw.
So by the way, how we get
what
to this
happened?
position? Yeah.
Just quickly go forward to see what. Yeah, we've seen. Remember A4 and stuff. A4, D4 takes on B3, rook A2,
And knight d5 immediately.
knight D5 immediately.
Yes, because the knight is. I mean, the pawn is chained. We cannot take-
The point being that bishop takes, pawn takes. You can't go to.
d takes e5.
You can't take on E5. Yeah.
Knight
Knight
d3.
Then he goes bishop G4. Well, so it looks like a nicely played game by Hikaru, by the way. So he always kept some initiative, it seemed.
Looks like.
Bishop f5, knight c5, rook. Where the rook is going?
Rook e2.
e2, rook b2. Yeah, I mean, white shouldn't lose this one normally, but
Yeah, but the problem with the pawn structure is this white's pawn structure is a benefit for black pair of bishops, because at some point knight on c5 is chained to defend the e4 square. Otherwise, black will go bishop e4 and the rook becomes chained on the first rank because of the mating threats.
so that king f7 or something, yeah. King f7.
Maybe it was better to play the more solid way. I mean, not to play rook at 8 at all.
Okay,
Probably
let's
probably
wrap
just
it, yeah?
first of all play king f1, king e1, king d2, and then probably rook a7 at some point, because
Anyway, so we did get the position with extra exchange for Hikaru Nakamura. That's what happens. Yeah, we can update. I believe we can try to update this game, because now, yeah, knight f4 wasn't played, by the way. He went knight c5, and Hikaru played
f5.
f5. f5 is, you know, not an obvious move to me. Knight to d3.
Yeah, but just rook a5 and king a6. Okay, but you can play knight f4 probably.
Yeah, that was my original thought.
But at some point, I mean, you have to play f5.
Bishop
because
d6 was played by Hikaru after knight d3, restricting knight. So the position after knight f4, bishop takes should be completely winning for black, right?
Yes.
Bishop takes,
think
rook
so.
takes. It's kind of, you have the wrong bishop for this one to be defendable, because with bishop on f3, I'm not really sure what the evaluation is, but it's really tricky to win, even if, let's say, even if it's winning. Yeah, with bishop on f4, not so much, because
Yes,
you have light square weaknesses. The king will penetrate to e4, or you'll have to create more weaknesses playing f3, so that's most likely to be winning.
It's difficult to say, is it needed to play h4? I mean, like, if the bishop was another color, because at some point, yeah.
G2, yeah. Alright, so, well, knight f4 obviously wasn't played. By the way, let's not forget we have one more game, which is Voyine Pomnishi. Let's see what happens there, right? So this one will last for some moves, let me say that. And Wei against Nepo turned to be an extra piece for Wei.
Yeah, for
well,
3
that's
pawns.
very sharp game, in fact. Right after bishop g2 d5, h4 was played, and it turns out that king h6 g4 is apparently very annoying. Perhaps that's the whole point
have
of
some
white.
mating threats.
Yeah, white has threats. Jan went with king g4.
But is it really a mate? Like, if I play king h6 g4, rook takes, I think you play bishop f3
Wait.
or something else.
Check rook f4.
Check king h5, rook f4. I saw that maybe I can even take on g2, but a6 pawn, that should be
Yes,
yeah, problematic for black.
sorts of tricky. Yeah, let's get closer to the game, because yeah, the game is still going. Yeah, so he went king g4. How is that? Yeah, I mean, I just want to see the moment he lost the knight. King g4, king to h2, and knight takes g3. Okay, fair enough. King h4, check, king takes g3. So almost all the pawns got eliminated, but the c pawn is still alive. c3. Both of them are short on time. Wei is down to 1 minute only. Jan has 4 minutes on his clock. King h6, rook d4 was played. Oh wait, that was king on g5, rook d4 was played. So he gave, king h6, he gave one more check. King g5, rook goes to d4,
creating a threat
and
of
rook
taking
e5.
h7 at some point, rook e5.
And rook e5.
So how white can save the c3 pawn? I mean, because if it's getting eliminated,
No, then it's just
Maybe
a draw.
yeah.
Then it's just a draw. Maybe the whole thing is drawish. Okay, so rook c5 was played, and Jan plays h5. So you still cannot take the pawn on d5 because rook c3.
Maybe I can play rook c6. I mean, just calmly enough.
The bishop from h8. Maybe
I'm not sure what is planned for white, but because playing bishop f1 is ready to play bishop d3 always fails because of the check, and king is forced to go back.
And then it's another check from me too. Bishop d7. Okay. Bishop d7, keeping f5 under control and planning bishop c6. That makes sense.
Is a5, a4 is an improvement for black?
Well, a5, bishop c6, I believe. Slowly but surely, white is getting this d5 pawn. And in case of, well, it's actually a4, white as well might just take
on a4 with bishop.
Yeah. That's quite a tense game because VE is down to 20 seconds. And
Jan has 3.5 minutes, and probably he'll try to find some tricks.
I believe it shouldn't be. Yeah, well, the feeling is like it shouldn't be enough for white. I mean, it's obviously white who is trying, right? Let's agree on that. But if I can imagine the scenario he will lose this game as well, right? I mean, just pawns will start moving.
So that's why
h4.
Jan has played h4.
h4, which is at first sight it does look a bit illogical because you put your pawns on the dark squares, but it sort of prevents bishop c6. Okay, not really.
Yes, but what if I just check?
Well, I said prevents, and he did go for bishop c6. Check. I thought king h5, rook f5 check now.
Yeah.
Okay, rook f5 check, king e3, h3. Oh wow, this pawn is fast.
So now suddenly it may became controversial because of dangerous h3 pawn, but of course we still will try to find a way how to play.
Yeah, it's very hard to lose
solid.
with white. Yeah, you take on d5.
But you can blunder something.
Take on d5
easily. Maybe I just still can play h2.
You probably can, yeah.
But at this point, you can just
rook
take
takes,
and play
pawn
king
takes,
f2,
and then you play something. Yeah.
and play king f2, rook a1.
King f2, rook a1. Yeah, I just meant that this you're not supposed to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, you play some move. He takes your bishop. You attack the a pawn, and then it's got to be. You'll be a pawn down in a rook angle, but it's supposed to be a draw. H2 played. Yeah, h2 played. Not that many moves. Yeah, rook takes f5, pawn takes.
And maybe bishop e4.
Wait, he's on seconds. I mean, that's bishop e4.
Leading to the rook endgame, probably. Like, if I play rook a1, first of all, like...
that's...
it's a bit dangerous.
Check. That's dangerous for black, no?
Yes, obviously. But there is some rook e1 threats also.
Rook f2?
Yeah, rook f2.
Rook f2, this might be very bad for black, actually. Because now you kind of have to promote white takes and goes rook a2. Or rook f6 takes.
Probably king g4 was a better move there. Or it may...
Rook f2 still? Yeah, it's just that the king is cut. Maybe I'm not even interested in your a.
Yeah, but maybe I can just check
rook e2
and take there. All of a sudden.
King takes.
King f4.
King f4. Well, bishop goes. And then you stop the c pawn with the king, and then you push your a pawn. You're right.
But usually, I
You're
mean,
right,
like
it will be a draw. Yeah, you just go to c pawn. Yeah.
Yes, but how? I mean, like king d3.
Ah,
then I play
c4,
c4, c5, c6. The bishop helps.
The bishop helps, great deal. Yeah.
So
Bishop e4 is on the board. Bishop e4 is on the board. Wait a sec. Can I... Yeah, king h4.
Very tricky.
Well...
Because
actually,
first of all...
a clever move, because you can't take the pawn without losing your c3 pawn. You can't take it with the bishop. Bishop f3 played.
What if king g3 now?
If king g3 now, white is in trouble. What can I say?
Maybe f4 is a kind of a threat.
f4 is a very serious threat. Yeah. So this.
Yeah, we is playing on
Bishop
seconds.
e4. I mean, it might have been a mistake and a serious one. Yeah, it's like the most exciting game has finished with the repetition, but the other two became very exciting. King g3, and how do you keep it now?
Okay, maybe I can play rook c8.
But then f4 check.
King e4.
And check from a. You still have c4.
Yeah, I mean, like, probably
Barn,
still
have c4.
white is out of the risk, but playing on seconds maybe
Yeah,
very,
rook c4 is played. Yeah,
very nervous.
I've just blundered this c4. Who's out of risk? I mean, nobody's out of risk because black's king can get mated as well.
Obviously.
No?
Yeah, and rook g8 is probably a threat because...
Yeah, so rook g8, rook g2...
Yeah, so if
and
I
then
eliminate the h2 pawn and leave you with a pawn, I can make some threats and you don't have a stalemate.
We'll see, it might all break down to playing this rook, bishop versus rook, right? And Jan is not in a comfortable situation
he's trying
himself.
to find a proper way how to equalize immediately, not going to the rook.
1 minute left. So he didn't play f4 just yet. So rook c8, that's the final position we have.
Maybe he's considering... No, but rook e4 just...
Which one?
I wanted to play rook a4,
Rook
but I realized that
A4.
even rook g8 check, rook g4, you can simply take with a rook and play bishop h1 and my king is stuck on g3 and I'm just losing.
Do you? Here I'm not sure. You take and you push the a pawn.
Ah, you mean like bishop
You push the
h1
a
and
pawn.
a5. Like for example I play c4, a4,
Yeah, king
king
has
d2.
to go, and then you're going king f2,
c5, g3,
g3, g2.
c6, g2.
It's a draw,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Mm.
No, I think f4 has been
F4 was
played.
played. The king is on e4, and now it's Jan is down to look to 8, 7, 6. Okay, check from a4, c4, rook a3 back. Rook
Yes.
a3 back. Rook
Check.
g8 and king goes to h4. King goes to h4 and V has the repetition already a couple of times. The check was given. Check. King goes to h4. Bishop h1. No. Point being that if you attack.
Yeah, like there is. Yeah, but there is an intermediate check.
There is a check from f1. Yeah.
Yes.
I thought I'm being clever taking, but there is rook f1 check. And on bishop f3, obviously you take on f3. So this might be just a draw after all. Because...
Yeah, but bishop h1 is a very nice idea.
Okay, once again, rook a1,
But maybe I can simply proceed with f3.
but then king f4, no?
And there is no defense, right?
Then king f4,
All of
so
a
you
sudden.
have to go to h5 and then I give a check and take on h2. So that's
That's
kind
clever.
of a trap, yeah. It's kind of a trap. Bishop h1 is on the board, rook a1. Bishop g2 is still there, by the way. Bishop g2 is still there.
But maybe rook g1 there. Yeah, so the
well,
couple of
Wade
checks.
gives a couple of checks. King back to h4, so the same position. Bishop g2. Wait, rook g1. Now I'm taking on f4.
Yes.
Now I'm taking on f4.
Yeah, so that's
yeah,
a
yeah.
mate, right? So bishop
The
g2.
funny part is that after bishop g2, f3. For some reason, I thought f3 might be the move. But then once again, I'm going king f4.
Yeah, rook f1 isn't working because of intermediate rook h8.
Bishop g2 is on the board. Rook a2 played by Jan.
Sorry.
Rook a2 played by Jan Nepomniachtchi.
And what if I simply
Then
play
it's king f3.
f3?
Then it's king f3. Now he's about to lose his a pawn.
Yes, so
Rook to
c2.
c2. Okay, so hunting the c4 pawn and probably getting it. There is still a check from g4, rook f4, but then rook c1 back, yeah? Rook g4 check played. King h5. He's got to take, yes. Rook to
c1,
c1.
obviously.
And then you can try to play this rook endgame, maybe?
Like starting with rook. No, rook f6 is not working because of rook
You
f1 or
just
just promotion.
You just-
Promotion on rook
you
f1.
promote and rook.
Yeah, so
King e3. King e3, king g5, yeah. Yeah, the king will be in time, yeah.
Okay, just play rook f8 probably.
No, but then he takes, no? Rook e4.
Oh yeah, so
Rook e4.
saving the pawn.
Rook e4, yeah, so he still keeps the pawn protected. Rook e4, how about rook g1? King f2, there's always king f2, right?
But I think this is a nice inclusion because you're...
Yeah, obviously dragging the king away is nice thing to do, yeah? Takes, this should be a draw.
It should be a draw. Because after king e3 we just check. If you play king e2, there's king f5 and no problem.
Yeah, there should be various draws there.
So Jan found a very nice counterplay after sacrificing
so
losing a
let's
piece.
switch to the other game. Let's see if it is still in progress. Dubov against Nakamura. Yeah, they are still fighting. I'm not sure what time the players have. Yeah, if we can switch. Yeah.
So
Daniel is
Nakamura
still
has
defending,
less
yeah.
time than... So king c4 is played there,
King c4,
allowing to take.
Yeah, allowing white to take on g5.
But the problem that probably we have
That's
to take
curious.
with bishop, because if knight g5 there is some ideas connected with rook a2. And then bishop b4 is
Bishop
threatening
b4
and
is the
bishop
threat,
g5,
yeah.
yes. So for example, if simply we play... Yeah, like if we take
Knight
there is
h7,
bishop b4.
bishop b4, that's
and
winning.
Black is
No,
winning.
you could go f4 and still not lose. No,
Yeah.
you do lose a piece after king c3. Yeah, absolutely. He takes with the bishop. He has taken. Yeah, here king c3, last move, winning a piece. He takes on g5 with the bishop. What's the plan in this case?
Maybe I can start with king d4 all of a sudden, because after bishop e7 I just give a check and take
King
the bishop.
f2 takes, but that's, I'm not sure if it's winning, to be honest. Like knight g5, h3, f4, something like that. Yeah, meanwhile I was told that the game of Jan Nepomniachtchi we finished in a draw, so 2 draws so far. That's been the only game which is in progress from the tiebreak game 1. Whenever this one is finished, it will be 10 minutes break before games 1 and 2 of each match. So, and I believe we'll also make a quick break during the players break. Right. So what happens after bishop g5? Bishop b4 was played. That's the current position.
Yeah, bishop
so
b4, knight e5 check.
Knight e5 check, and
Yeah.
it turns out you cannot take d4.
Yeah,
so
because of the
Hikaru has
check.
blundered this one. Check, king goes, and then knight b4, and you don't have rook a2. The knight guards a2.
Yeah, and if
and after
king
king
takes, just
b4, it's
bishop
bishop
e7.
e7. Yes, that was a blunder. Not that he's risking anything. I mean, black really has to blunder 2-3 times more in order to lose. But his winning chances after he blundered this one are pretty slim, I would say.
Knight d3, rook
And
a2,
bishop
king
d2 was
f1,
played.
and
So
bishop
he's
d2.
trying to trade the bishops.
Yeah, so the king
Yeah,
has
the
been
king,
cut it off.
you know, with king on first rank, it's not something that looks pleasant. Bishop
You know,
e3. no?
bishop
Ah,
g5 wasn't a
f6.
threat because of knight b4. So bishop e3 is very...
Bishop e3 was possible. Funny enough, bishop e3 was... No, he played bishop f6. He has played bishop f6. King to c4, check, and finally he takes on d4. Naka takes on d4. Discovered check, but
There is no sense in it.
not clear where to discover such.
Maybe it's time to
G4.
play g4.
G4.
then.
That's what Daniel does. G4. But now you know, with white king being on first rank, even if you get rid of all the pawns, you're not out of the woods,
Yeah,
because
it can be checkmate.
yeah, there might be some checkmate ideas, and they're both down to 20 seconds.
Like, by the way, can I play bishop f4?
You might.
Like,
I really don't know.
If you make a check, I just
Knight
play
G6,
simply king
king
e3. So white has to take, probably.
Takes f5, I guess. Yeah, bishop f4. We'll see it now. We'll see it now. He has played it. Bishop f4. White doesn't have all that much of a choice because, yeah, if
Yeah,
you
knight
just
is
give a
hanging.
random check, king goes to e3, then takes on f3, and that's the end of the game. So
King
you
takes.
take on f4, he takes on f5, I suspect.
Yes, probably g5 is not a good move. I just
G5?
simply take on e3, right?
Yeah, well, actually,
Yeah, but Daniil decided to play knight h4, which is probably
knight
better because
h4.
knight f4 leads to the losing position.
Knight h4 takes on g4 and bishop g3, I suspect, or no, he didn't play it just yet.
But it's a good move. I
He's
mean,
still defending, but kind of on the ropes, you know. h6.
just h6.
h6. That's interesting. h6. So the pawns are not going any far, any further.
Yeah, fixing the pawns may be a very good practical decision.
And as well, you give a chance to your opponent to make a mistake. I mean, you know, both being very short on time. King g1, for instance. Now bishop g3 looks nicer.
Or maybe we can start with bishop h2 check and then play bishop g3.
Bishop g3 at once.
No, I think he played bishop h2 check.
Ah, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Check.
I mean, forcing to go to f1.
Back to
otherwise.
f1. Rook f2, blundering heavily. Daniil blunders heavily, and I mean, it's just a piece up.
Yeah.
So, was it the final mistake, king f1, or he could go to h1 and still fight?
I think the position is still losing, and
The position is bad. Yeah, we have to agree on this. The
like
position.
I can still play maybe even king f4.
King f4, g3, h3.
No, but probably I may blunder the last tactical trap.
This, king h3, and rook takes g2.
Okay, safely enough,
That's winning.
Okay, I should admit that maybe after king h1 the initial idea was to play bishop g3,
Bishop
and
g3.
it was the right time because the king is
Okay,
situated very badly.
so 2 draws in tiebreak matches. So draw for Wesley Saw and Alexander Grischuk. Very sharp position in which they've decided to repeat the moves. Then it was a draw for Wei and Jan Nepomniachtchi. Once again, very complex game with a lot of tricks in the endgame. And finally, Daniil Dubov lost to Hikaru Nakamura. Well, first, perhaps allowing Hikaru to pick up the exchange on d5 maybe was not necessary, and then I believe a lot of stuff was happening, but in the time trouble he has blundered a piece. So 10 minutes between the rounds. We will sign off for 5 minutes, I believe, so just a quick break. We'll start the coverage like in a few minutes before the start, right? Before the start of the next round. You can see the countdown. It's 9 minutes left. Yeah, 9 minutes left before game 2.
So the players have some time to relax or
Yeah.
rethink their
And very likely
game.
that today we will see even shorter time controls for the first time in this tournament, because yes, it will be hard for Dubov to level the score, but other two pairs, 2 solid draws
so
in round 1.
they're still balanced, and
There is still a chance they'll make draws in round 2, and it will go to a shorter time controls, which, by the way, I'm a big fan of. Stay tuned, we'll be back shortly. Welcome back everyone. It's a tiebreak day after the quarterfinals. So today we will know the names of all the semi-finalists. So far it's only Radoslav Wojtaszek who is waiting for his opponent. I believe he will be playing with the winner of Hikaru Nakamura versus Dubov match. And so far Hikaru has much better chances. He has won with black. Other two games were drawn. So Game 2 of the tiebreak, Game 2 with 25 plus 10 is starting right now. Don't miss it. Stay with us. Okay, so what shall we expect, Daniel? What shall we expect, first of all, from Dubov, I believe?
I think we shall expect something extraordinary in Nakamura against Dubov, and especially from Daniel Dubov, because now he's in a must-win situation, and
against a very, very experienced and very solid opponent.
Yes,
once
obviously
again,
you would rarely see Nakamura losing with white pieces, so that's why. Okay,
that's why this might be some peculiar opening choice,
yeah.
Right? C4.
Yeah, but we can see just regular. So now looks like they reversed the colors, but Daniel decided to play bishop b4 line.
Yeah, that's you know, it's not that you expect someone who wants to be super solid to go for one c4. There is nothing wrong with English openings. My point is that usually more forcing lines are offered after d4 or e4. You go d4
obviously.
And practically against any opening you have, you know, like forcing line with a lot of trades.
Yeah.
Like against the Nimzo you would go queen c2, which is very solid. Against the Grunfeld, I believe there is a number of lines where you can simplify them.
But should we consider English opening as rather complicated than just solid? I mean, because obviously Nakamura understands that he doesn't need to burn the bridges and he can just simply play for a normal position. But okay, his other option was to play d4 and
yes,
at some point
anything,
provoke
yeah.
black to play some openings like Benoni or King's Indian. But c4, well, I mean, probably just a very good psychological decision made by very, very experienced player.
So it's like saying, well, I will not play for a draw, I'll just play
Yes,
chess.
I'll just play chess.
Yes, I'm fine with this position. Obviously nothing wrong with the position. So the bishop is already on g2 and knight c6 was played. I mean, I think they transposed to the very main line because, yeah, knight f3, after knight f3. And I believe Hikaru has won a game against Vishy Anand in this line. Bishop c3 was not played there. This is the game in Moscow Candidates. I'm talking about the Candidates which was won by Karyakin in 2015. That was bishop c3, dc3,
B takes castle.
Castles, and then yeah, that's one of the key positions since, I don't know, Karpov's time. E4, knight d4. Okay, so not to e1. Knight e1
Not
is
to
considered
G5.
to be, yeah, knight g5 is possible. Yeah, I think knight e1 was considered to be like the most tricky, and then d3 and black.
Yeah.
Or no, f3, e3, d3, something like that. Yeah, knight
It's a
e1.
very, very modern line.
Knight d4. Okay, here, if I'm not mistaken, black was supposed to take and go d5, but
Which probably may lead to some simplification, so that's why
maybe Hikaru knows it. Yeah,
that's a nice trick. I mean, lead to the position where black will have a choice between playing a risky position but still playable or making an immediate draw. So that's why I think Dani may consider some other options. For example, I don't know, if knight e5 really has some sense
yeah.
because of d3.
You know, we're talking bishop b5 Sicilian here, right?
Yeah.
It's once again c4 e5. Is already a Sicilian with colors reversed with extra tempo, right? So in the previous game we had like a dragon Sicilian with colors reversed. This time it's bishop b4, bishop takes c3, the same way white plays bishop b5, bishop takes c6, so-called Rossolima Sicilian. So knight e5, of course, would be one of the normal moves, as well as rook e8. I believe rook e8 is perfectly
obviously
playable. Knight e5, yeah. So just keeping more pieces on the board.
So d3.
I suspect d3 is the move, yeah.
And maybe just black simply may not react to d3, just try to play h6, preventing from bishop g5. And
Well, white takes to go d6.
if white takes, maybe
I mean, to
first
take on c4
yeah.
immediately, or yeah. I mean, my point was that the pawn is typically not running anywhere, so maybe you take it immediately. Yeah. To try to complicate matters, obviously.
And I think Danny already did it. I mean, like knight e5 d3, and the position is not as well known as the position after knight takes d4, so that's why
c5, okay. Driving the knight away from d4, can go practically anywhere. Knight b3.
yes, but knight f5 seems risky because of d5.
Yeah, knight f5 is too much. Yeah, knight f5 is too much. Knight b3 or knight c2.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't sure. It's like knight b3 technically wins you the tempo because you attack the c5 pawn.
By the way, is d takes e4? I mean, of course, Nakamura will not make this kind of
but
move.
that's a funny move, yeah.
I thought about this position.
Get all the central pawns in the world, yeah. e5, knight.
But maybe it's just too much because
Actually has to go to e8.
I think d5 is
Yeah,
the
but
very
then
next
d5
move, yeah.
is the very next move. Yeah, if let's say if in case of queen d3, the knight would have to leave to
I think
b6.
yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
yeah,
simply
but the
d5,
problem is
yeah.
d5 exactly as we said. Yeah,
Like
if the knight would have to
e4
leave, then of course white would get some compensation. But yeah,
Yeah,
but that's too jolly. I mean,
it's
it's
just a funny intention. I mean, so of course
that's
after
too
c5
funny to be true. Yeah,
knight c2.
knight c2 is played. Yeah, sort of more flexible. So later on, especially if black takes d3, right? So then knight e3 will be a nice square for this knight. Knight e3 and controlling
And
d5.
the problem is that I'm not sure if c5 is really an improvement, because in these lines, I mean, comparing to the position if we played h6 immediately, probably we would have a better pawn structure, because in this case, after playing c5, knight c2, d6 I'd like less than the position I mentioned before because of bishop g5, and now white can control the d5 square at some point. So, and it's not so easy now how to...
But Daniel had another idea in
Yeah, he
mind.
took on
He
d3.
has taken on d3, went d5 immediately.
Yeah, complicating, simply complicating. Okay, it allows still
Well,
white have a
Opens up the position.
for the
You
bishops.
know what? From Naka's perspective, honestly, I would consider bishop g5 here.
Or bishop
you know,
f4, bishop
Or
g5.
bishop f4 attacking the knight and then bishop g5. Yeah, so my point was, like, bishop g5, if you want to, I mean, and you probably should, take on c4 and then trade the queens. And then I believe it's just that white bishop on g2 should be enough compensation. Like, if you queen
obviously.
d1, rook d1, white should have no difficulties making a
Maybe
draw, because
even I
yeah,
have to take with this one.
one of the rooks takes, yes. Okay,
or
I mean,
maybe with f.
whatever, yeah. It feels like this is just...
But it's still
you
the
know,
game. I mean, like, I'll take
knight
on
c4, yeah. Knight e3. I mean, if I'm, you know, stubborn in my intentions to make a draw, just trading all the pieces, I believe I will win the pawn back somewhere because of the pressure the bishop on g2 applies.
And I started to do the thing,
applies
and
on b7.
I like this position for white.
Yeah, I mean,
really.
it's like, especially keeping in mind that draw means you won the match. That's a very pleasant position to play. Right, Naka went bishop f4,
So,
which might be even stronger.
yeah, but rook e8. I mean,
Rook e8, so that's what you want to do. Rook
I-
e1,
yeah,
by
rook
the same
e1,
token, yeah.
maybe bishop. No,
Bishop
g4 just
g4,
simply
you
f3.
can always... no, yeah,
There's just
that's
f3 because
f3.
the rook is
Rook is... yeah, we can show
it's
it, yeah.
protected.
f3, so the typical tactical motive would be to take on f3 here, knight f3, bishop f3, and then to take on e1, but in our case there is the knight on c2. So otherwise you would have to take with the queen, black takes the bishop on f3, but the knight is on c2, so knight takes and white is just up a piece. So this tactic doesn't work. That means after bishop g4, f3, white simply wins material. The bishop is attacked, the knight is attacked.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, so other thing to do, knight g6. Attacking the bishop, you don't want to take on... and then bishop g5, and this is painful. This is painful because, yeah, knight g6. it's not like he's forced to go bishop g5. He can go bishop e3 as well, but bishop g5 seems to be like more forcing, right?
But you know, like maybe Daniel's idea was to play h6, force white to take and then take on c3. But you know, like obviously,
that's once again, it's very hard to believe that. Yeah,
like
bishop takes possible,
or maybe even pawn takes.
Pawn takes was interesting as well, because d4 was interesting. I mean, once again, it was so many options. Knight e3. Yeah, actually, what's wrong with knight e3?
Maybe first of all, I'll take on c4 probably.
Takes, then knight d5 was my idea.
And now I'll start to surround the c4 pawn, which will probably take on very next move, like playing queen d6.
Yeah, d takes c4.
Maybe knight e5.
Knight e5.
Which is still the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's... I wouldn't be surprised if white's position is better here, but it's still the games here, so anything is possible.
So that's why I think I've liked your bishop e3 more than bishop g5 probably in this very moment.
Bishop e3 played, yeah. Bishop e3 played. So now that c5 pawn is hanging, what
and
to
now
do?
Like if you play b6, now I can play
now
bishop
g5 happily, of course, with such
like
with such pin. Yeah, with such pin. Yeah, it's unlikely Dubov is coming back here in this match. Yeah, I believe it's just that the opening went very nicely for Hikaru. He seems to be very comfortable with how the position looks, and it's really tough. I mean, in such situations to really find the way to play. Yeah.
By the way, how can we try to find even a single pass how to continue the fight? I mean, like, okay, bishop e3 is obviously secures white advantage from the opening, but like if I take on c4,
there is even bishop c5.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah, so d takes c4 is very, I mean, it's very solid and keeps the advantage, the power of two bishops is just
in case of
emphasizing.
dc4, you probably have to play queen c7 and pray. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, something like that.
Yeah, but if bishop
c5, greedy play. Yeah. Greedy and strong. Because cd3, I don't see the reason why I cannot take on f8.
Yes, you'll just take and win the game. But if I play rook e8,
rook e8, then d takes c4.
Yeah, like queen c7 and probably
queen d6 immediately. Trading the queens, winning the game.
Yeah, or not losing at least.
not winning the game, but winning the match guaranteed. Yeah, I believe white is much better objectively,
obviously.
But once again, I mean, to add to this, that so the black is much worse and cannot make a draw. So actually rejecting all the drawish lines, if any occur, that means you're just lost. I'm sorry, but this position. So really bad. b6, what did we say? b6, bishop g5.
Okay, maybe I still can continue with bishop b7 or bishop e6.
Bishop e6?
You think f4?
Knight e3 was my problem.
Okay, maybe I'm okay in sacrificing in this.
Yeah, you take on c4, but once again, my point was that I don't want to take your rook. I just want to take on c4.
With pawn, probably.
Yeah, pawn takes.
Or with knight.
Yeah, pawn takes. Pawn takes fine. Pawn takes fine. So both sides will get doubled pawns, like queen d1, rook a d1.
Maybe still I can play this one.
Rook something. Takes on f8, go bishop d5. I don't see white losing this one.
Obviously.
Or take on f6, go f4, and white is better. Yeah, I mean, it's
right.
It's very...
It's quite
very
difficult to find anything there for black, but then you decided to play bishop g4.
Okay, provoking. Yeah, so he does sacrifice the pawn, but at least forces white to make an ugly move.
But it's a good practical decision, I think.
Bishop f5, yeah.
What if white play intermediate g4? Okay, so I think Danny is just trying to force white to push.
Yeah, like to actually to kind of distract from my way of thinking. Like I always keep saying that, yeah, I'm happy with the draw in this position, and Hikaru obviously is perfectly aware of that.
Yeah, but Hikaru took on c5 immediately.
Took on c5, okay, so rook e8, I suspect.
By the way, is there any tactical motives? No, but not really.
No.
If I take it, just take on a fate. And
Yes.
Okay, maybe if I
Knight
press it,
d4.
yeah, knight d4 or knight d3.
Knight
93
d4.
queen b6, knight d4 is more solid, obviously. Yes, so
That's a rook up already.
yes, rook up.
It's too much, yeah. Rook e8 has to be played. Yeah, honestly, I don't see like a perfectly comfortable move after rook e8. There should be some. Knight e3,
You know, but if I start with g4 there,
bishop e6.
so you mean still I have to make a...
Yeah, well, g4 creates some squares. It's like knight f4, knight h4
Yes.
all of a sudden become an issue. So
not accurate
that's-
at all.
okay, so let's leave Dubov thinking, and this one let's look at the other games. To remind you, we have 3 tiebreaks going. That's perhaps the d takes c4, by the way, offering the f8 rook, and it feels, you know, it feels like a desperation, to be honest. Well, he takes with the knight. Well, there is some point actually, because d3 pawn's hanging, dc4 is not possible. Queen's
So
traded,
what-
knight is
what to
hanging.
do? Probably just simply knight d4, bishop
Knight
takes and rook
d4,
e1.
rook e1. Yeah.
Okay, obviously.
Let's say black
White
gets
is better, but black has some.
Black gets some jumping. Knight d5, queen a5. Yep. Well, might run out of those active moves pretty soon, but
Maybe it was the only way to play.
perhaps yeah, he has to keep the position as unbalanced as possible. That's the only chance. Right. Let's look at the other games. Whatever you like.
Nepo machine and sway.
Nepo with Sway. Nepo having the white pieces.
Wow.
I believe some Italian
No,
once
it was
again.
Caro-Kann.
Caro-Kann.
Yes.
That's funny.
Very
because-
unpredictable
yeah.
decision, by the way.
Can you show me the actual position again? Why on earth I thought it was Italian? Because
First
I
of all,
thought
I saw it. I thought it may be Marshall, but there is a pawn on f4 and the
yeah,
bishop on
and
h6.
that's how I came to the g6 h5 doesn't make sense, but sometimes they bring the knight to f4. You know, it's taken. No, whatever. We were wrong. It was the Caro-Kann.
Okay,
It was
from the
well,
very beginning. It was
the funny
very
Caro-Kann
common.
was
I don't know why Nepo decided not to play d4, which is very principled.
knight
but this
c3.
is
Okay,
also
2 knights. Well,
G6.
decent position, and then g6, which is by far not the most common move.
Obviously, knight f6 or bishop g4 are
Yep.
well-known
It's like
opportunities.
bishop g4 is
It's very solid.
almost automatically played. Knight f6 is also a move. g6, it's no longer Caro-Kann, I would say, but more of a some Scandinavian. Yeah, it transposes to, and Scandinavian we are referring to e4 d5 immediately, right? E takes d5, queen takes, and usually we get somewhat similar structures.
So now we can name it as Scandinavian Caro-Kann.
yeah, d4, bishop g7, h3, so it's considered to be wise to prevent bishop g4 for later. Takes, knight to f6,
Knight f6
white
and-
exchanges,
Black simply take with pawn.
black takes with the pawn. Yeah, because bishop takes, bishop h6
yes.
is somewhat annoying. You can't castle, and you won't be able to castle for for a
Okay,
long
maybe
time.
I still can try queen a5 check and queen h5,
Check
but
c3,
it may be too much.
c3, queen h5, queen d2.
Yes.
Then you have. Oh, you
No,
don't
no,
have.
no,
G5.
I don't have g5.
You don't have g5
That
just
was my
yet.
first
Yeah.
intention.
Don't have g5 just yet, so it's queen d2, and then still so it's awkward to give white the possibility to
Yes,
put the
but
bishop on
it's a
h6.
very personally, I think it's very okay. I would say suspicious and very strange decision made by Wei playing such kind of opening, because he is not in a must-win situation. He can play as calm opening.
Yeah, he could have played something more solid, and you know what? There is such line in Caro-Kann when you go knight f6,
Yes.
white takes, and then black
takes.
takes with e pawn.
But bishop goes to d6 usually.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to say. Like white's moves, knight f3 and h3, do make sense, while black's g6, bishop g7 is not obviously the good moves. All right, so let's go further. Let's go further because a lot of stuff has happened. Castles, a5, a4. Okay, those inclusions usually make sense. Bishop f4, knight went to b6. Later on to d5. Right.
But you know, I wasn't quite sure that a4 is a move that you really need to make after a5. Because while black transfer the knight to b6, I don't see the plan for white, because playing c4 is connected with some creating of weak squares. I mean, like just black simply may play bishop e6 at some point, and
yeah, it's like usually a4 is not great idea, because indeed black puts the knight on d5 as he did in the game, and you can practically never practically can never play c4 because the knight goes to b4. Yeah, so knight d5, bishop h2. I believe what white has to do is move his knight from f3 somewhere else. Like the knight is restricted with f6 pawn.
Like playing
it's not doing too much. Like knight d. Okay,
yeah,
no,
okay,
I mean what he
e6.
did is fine. Rook e1, logical. h5, knight to d2, f5. Okay, attacking
c3.
So c3 is a decent move
Yeah,
to
so
make.
he didn't want to start with knight c4, or maybe he could.
He
turn
could go
to f3, but then f4. Can I play f4? I mean, like you can take on d5, but still I may.
Okay, so what did Jan do? So he went c3, Nepo, yeah. Bishop h6, knight c4, f4, and I think there were a few more moves. Knight e5, queen f3. Yeah, knight e5, queen g5, queen f3. That's the current position.
So I think a lot of blitz players would consider taking on e6 in this position.
As a rook e6, knight e5, bishop
Yeah.
c2, queen d3, something. Well, it's not pointless at all. I mean, that's actually a typical way in such positions, right? Well, usually it's somewhat more beneficial, because when you take on e6, this pawn from f4 is usually on e7. I mean, that I can tell you as the guy who played Alec in defense a lot. So,
Me too.
that's very typical. And then they sacrifice you on e6. They sacrifice an exchange on e6, and you have those double pawns, plus the g6 is weak. So here as well, rook e6 wouldn't be such a terrible decision. And then just to go knight e5 maybe, right? And then bishop c2. But okay, Jan decided to keep the material balanced as of now. So he went knight e5, queen g5, queen f3. Isn't black somewhat stuck? Because, look. Okay,
so I mean, it's kind of difficult to find the next move. Okay,
I mean, he can bring the rook, yes, and white can try to do the same, like rook a to d1, whatever, it makes sense, or
maybe
rook
double.
rook e2, rook e1. Yeah, it's just that the whole setup on the king side for black is not really moving. Bishop g7 would allow bishop takes d5, queen takes f4, or maybe not in this version because the rook on e2.
Yes.
But
at least I can just follow up with rook a1.
We just bring the other rook. Yeah, bishop g7 is not like this move changes something.
Yeah, so maybe I was
it's not
too optimistic about black's position after playing a4, but now we can see that still there is some advantage remaining for white.
And then white does what? White doubles on e file, and then he goes knight d3
and knight
and
c5.
apparently, or just take on f4. I mean,
yes,
in
obviously.
some version, in some versions.
That's maybe the main idea.
Right. What's the times? It feels like it's
so rook a e8
16 versus 17. Yeah, so that's fine. Rook a to e8 is played.
And probably rook e2 is not a bad move. I mean, like, of course, there is no bishop g4 ideas. So rook e2.
Alright.
Is there any
f6? No.
And after knight d3?
Knight d3, bishop g4. No, you can.
Yes, I can take
you
there
take
and take
the
on
bishop
d5.
and you take f4 immediately, maybe. No, you can't take f4. e2 rook is hanging.
And also I can take on d5 because of
you take pawn takes, yes.
And the rook is hanging.
Rook is hanging, that's the problem. Does that work?
Yes.
So rook e2 is the silly move then.
Yeah, so I said that there is probably no bishop g4, but there is
rook
an version where bishop
rook
g2
e2 is not
suddenly works.
Rook e2 is not great.
Maybe there is still something. By the way, can I just pause playing rook a e1? Or you can just simply take and queen f6 and there is no toxic at all. No. Everything is solid in black's camp.
You know what? On the other hand,
Yeah, but Jan played rook e2.
Jan did play rook e2.
Yes.
So after f6, what's his plan
Going to
B?
do.
Plan B. Okay, he can go knight c4 back, so that the d3 square is still available for the queen. So
And now?
he doesn't lose material this way.
Yes.
And knight d6, and now the bishop on e6 is not stable. However,
Yeah, so rook e2 plan is working.
yeah, perhaps. So rook e2, next move rook e1.
And probably we is calculating f6 now. Still. Yes, but if there is nothing forced after f6 knight c4, it means it's just black have created another weakness for themselves
Yeah, it's like f6 is not the move you are happy.
with.
Well, technically it's still possible, right? Bishop g4, h takes, the queen is hanging, so you are forced to go queen g3. Then I take on e2, sorry, queen d3, then I take on e2, go g3. Who knows what that? I mean, queen takes and g3, so winning the piece back. But by that time, I don't know, some knight d6 might happen, yeah.
Yeah, like you can take king takes or king h1.
Maybe king h1, I don't know.
I think
just
after
to get-
king h1 white is slightly better. Because the bishop... Okay, I can say that's a good bishop on h6, obviously, with this pawn structure, and white is planning to play probably not queen e6, but maybe just simply queen f3 or rook a1.
Rook e1, then queen f3, right?
Also,
like
b7 is
okay.
hanging, so that's why maybe that's a
This is
version where
tricky.
white even can sacrifice the
Tricky.
pawn.
Okay, so Wei is thinking, let's leave him in this position. Let's see the last third game of the tiebreak, the third match.
Yeah,
Grischuk
Grischuk.
against Wesley So. Ah, a lot of stuff happened. Is that the position? So
think
we are
so.
talking about some middle games, and here it's already an end game.
So by the way,
That was what? What?
is it called Vienna? No, it's not
No,
Vienna because of
that's
c5.
that's semi-Tarash.
Semi-Tarash,
C takes.
which
No,
became
it's
popular.
not the semi-Tarash. It's the other thing. C takes, some sort of a gambit. Or not really. E4, whatever. Ah, yeah, this
Yeah,
line.
but it's a well-known line.
This line, yeah, they do play it, and they hold it easily for some reason. Bishop
Yes.
e6, this ugly-looking move which holds for black. Let's see if it will in today's game. Takes, king to e2, bishop b4, I believe. Yeah,
Knight e4.
knight a4. Well, you have to keep the knight on the board.
So you like knight e4 instead of bishop d2 at some point.
Yeah, knight a4 is fine. Knight a4, king e7, rook d1, rook d8. So he's
So black has better development at the moment, but the
and
pawns are
and he's a
very-
pawn up. Yeah,
Yeah.
but some weaknesses, of course.
Yes, bishop a3, rook a8. So
Rook
Wesley
a8
decided to
is-
play rook a8 instead of the more, I would say, natural moves like okay,
a5,
maybe
a6.
yeah, a5, a6. Yeah, probably rook d7 is not good because of some a3 stuff, or rook c1 first.
a8 is yeah, it's not the move you look first at.
So like the initiative now. So white has an initiative at least.
Rook
I mean,
c1, king d7, rook c4. So white wins the pawn back.
but they just don't need to hurry to rush. Yeah, so
Knight d5.
Wesley decided
yeah.
to play knight d5, rook e4.
Rook takes on e3.
Obviously, this is the better endgame for white.
Yeah, which you can play for. I mean, you can play for long, right?
That's-
h3,
So he decided to play h3
rook
instead of...
f5, king e2, and h5. So that's how black is planning to hold. So everything on.
So Wesley's plan is to secure the 5th rank, creating some threats and force white to push the pawns, which probably may be not the best decision.
So h4, g4. I mean h5, g5 or what?
No, I
Yeah.
thought that I'm just going to play
to
rook
go
a5,
rook
rook
d5,
d5, rook g5, and
That's
just
like
stay.
an away from all possible angles, yeah?
Maybe it is a time to transfer the knight
Okay,
to c4.
Alex went knight b2.
Knight b2, and if rook a5 's there, I mean, just I think rook a5, a4, rook d5 inclusion is. I can't
Wait,
say
but
it's in black's favor, but at least
hypothetically, what kind of an endgame is rook a5, rook a4? Because you have
you're
to
forcing
trade.
me.
Yeah, you have to trade.
Or
and
maybe I still can play rook e5 and somewhere.
well, you
bishop.
can, yeah, you can. But I mean, if this happens,
okay.
if the rooks are traded, I mean, what's that? It's clear that white has.
An
It's only
advantage.
white who has the advantage, has the winning chances. It's the question is how much of a winning chance white has, because a lot of weak pawns, but at the same time he does control some.
Okay, I can't answer to this question, but I would be 100% sure that I would pick white in this position.
That's out of question. Right.
I don't know what to do, because like white have a very very clear plan, and it's a bit puzzling what pawn structure we have to leave on the king side, because like playing
For
g5
black,
is
yeah,
connected with some
G5,
risk.
White goes
Maybe g4.
G4, yeah, G4, H4, and then black
then
is
sim-
claiming you will not pass. Huh?
But playing, I mean, we should remind you that they're playing rapid chess, and the probability of making a mistake in the time trouble is rising in
Yeah,
comparing to the classical games.
Okay, so what's the knight b2? Wesley didn't answer just yet. Right after knight b2, that's the position. Okay, I expect the longer endgame. While that's even if it's like will be a draw, it's clear that Grischuk will try. That's one of those scenarios where you are getting a risk-free position. That's what
That's what
chess
he
players
wanted to have.
nowadays enjoy the most. Yeah,
Grischuk
bishop
decided to play
c4.
knight d3 instead of
Knight
knight
d3.
yeah.
Yeah, f2 was kind.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Knight d3.
yeah, he didn't want to play f3 probably because he's fixing his own pawn structure and allowing black some counterplay connected with playing at some point h4 and rook
Wait,
g5.
maybe he has something concrete in mind. Yeah, knight d3, king d6. By the way, is there a way for white? For some reason, I thought white can once again force the trade of rooks.
But rook d5 is almost anywhere.
Rook
mean-
f4. First of all, I'm not sure if I'm happy with the trade of rooks.
Yeah, because the
in
king is
this
already in the
case.
center.
Yeah, but then take,
No,
for instance, if you take, then h pawn is. You probably don't take. You know what? Rook f4, you go g5.
Yes.
You go
Obviously.
g5. So if white takes on f5, it improves black's
structure.
pawn structure a great deal, and the king is active. So
Obviously.
that's not what you want to do.
So bishop c5 to king d6 is a very good idea. Very good defensive
So
resource.
controls kind of his part of the board. Everything till 5th rank is under black's control, and even some squares on 4th rank.
So
Hard
how to
imagine,
improve?
yeah,
How
how
to
to
improve?
imagine? Yeah, white kind of is very solid, and yeah, keep saying white is better, but maybe it's just nothing. Yeah, because king on
So
e6.
the principal decision is to take on c5, but I'm not sure if it is in white's favor.
Yeah, rook takes.
Yeah, rook
Right.
takes, for example, I just simply play. Yeah, but you play a5 next move, right?
I play something.
Yeah, I want to play rook a4, but
Rook a4. Yeah, F5,
forcing a5, but
A5.
obviously it decreases
Yeah,
the white chances
Once
to win
again,
the game.
in terms of exchanges, I would rather change the rooks.
Yes, but
exchange the rooks.
we don't know how.
Yeah, we can't do it. Yeah, but the rook endgames. I mean, you know what happens. You win the pawn, and it's still a dead draw. Right. Let's move. Let's find something more entertaining. Let's see if Dubov will get any chances against Nakamura. That's the position, right?
I
Is
think
that
so.
right?
Yeah, so it was like bishop
Knight C-
d3, and Nakamura
So
decided
we
to play to
managed to
trade
get-
the bishops
yeah.
immediately.
We managed to guess this. Knight d3 takes. Knight e1. Rook d2. Knight goes. Knight takes. Knight c3.
Isn't it tricky?
That's like knight c5 is the move in question, right?
Knight d1.
Knight
yeah,
d1 takes on d8.
forcing the trades. And knight
Takes
b7
on
at the
d8.
end.
Knight b7.
But there
And
is
then
rook
you go
d2,
rook d2,
and this is a
you're
chance.
actually actually much better. Once again, I mean, I don't know how
But you know-
realistic the chances for win are.
You know what? I think that Nakamura has blundered the following thing: that after queen c2,
Hmm.
do I have this check? by
You
the way.
do.
Because after knight f2 I have knight e2 suddenly.
And everything falls with a check, right?
Yeah, so I take on a1.
Yeah, if rook e2, you take on a1 with a check. If I go king g2, on the other hand, you take the rook, I take the other knight. Okay, can we check this line?
So there is a check on
I take
G1.
the other knight. Yeah, there is a check
And you
on
know, like,
g1.
You cannot take on e2 the next move because I play queen
Because
f1
queen
check.
f1, yeah, then it's
Yeah,
pointless.
so this
Absolutely
is just
pointless.
winning. So
So did Hikaru really got into a bit of a trouble?
so
What are the other options? He's got, wait, queen c2, queen d4 check, but he's not forced to go knight f2. He can go king g2. Right?
yes, probably that's what I've blundered.
King g2. Well, it's not the end of the line because you do have rook d8. You do have like, yeah, rook d8.
Yeah, rook d8 is
rook d8.
maybe the strongest.
Pinning my stuff. So the
Well,
knight,
so what if
knight's not
I
moving.
hypothetically play rook c1? Can I take on g3?
c1. I mean, it's messy. I mean, that much I can
So
tell you.
at least Daniil forced Hikaru to calculate the variations.
Yeah,
We can see that Hikaru
that's
is
the
not,
game.
is not so calm and he
Yeah,
may be a bit
Hikaru's
nervous.
not particularly happy, I believe. So he went himself for the, let's say, for this position, trying to kind of sort out the issues by force.
And also Daniil has twice more
As much time, yeah, twice as
than
much time.
Hikaru. And Hikaru is nervous.
Queen, well, the feeling was that he was planning to go queen f1.
Yes, queen e1 was
okay,
my
queen e1.
Another thought. So the idea that after knight d3 I
Knight
just simply
d3,
play
queen
queen
e3.
e3.
And those horses, they are hanging.
But still I'm sure that Hikaru missed this opportunity.
So let's go back. Let's go back. If check happens there, then you do.
Then the rook is protected and I can simply play knight f2 I think.
Ah, then you can go knight
Because
f2.
after knight d2 I take with rook.
Knight e2 you take with the rook, yeah. So if knight takes on d3, it's queen e3. But then he's in control, that means. Unless there is queen f6. Which there
Well,
is.
Yeah, but I can take
Queen
there.
f6 takes knight e2 check,
maybe
and you
king
go
g2.
king g2. Wow, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So the point being that whenever you take the knight with, black obviously takes on a1, but this time, yeah, this time it's mate on back rank. Okay, so if this works, then of course credits to Hikaru for finding it. That's
I
yeah,
think
queen e1
he didn't have much choice. I mean, in this position when he realized that queen c2 is probably not working, queen e1 is. I mean, okay, there is queen f1, but queen f1 at least
yeah,
looks
queen
less
f1
solid.
you give a check, right?
Yes, and the knight is
You give a
the rook is
check, yeah.
pinned.
Queen f2, it's once again a check from e2, so like king g2 is a must, or king h1, and then you play rook d8 and
Or maybe knight d5 or
knight
something like
d5,
that.
yeah. So that's
So it's still a game.
would have been another game. This time it's queen e, yeah, queen e1, and honestly I don't see a move. Obviously you can keep the game going by simply moving the knight from c5 somewhere, right? Or not really. I thought knight e6, for instance.
Can I force on
It's
simplifications?
probably bad. I mean, it's probably
Yeah.
bad for black, but it's once again,
While the knight's on the
kind
board,
of-
there is still some intrigue.
yeah. If it's a choice between getting, let's say, slightly worse but simplified position or position of that kind where you still hope for some jumping, you know, maybe that's what you have to do. Alright, and then in Nepomniachtchi's game, what's happening? Because here, yeah, since we found this variation, that's well, in Nepo's game, quite a change here.
Yeah, so f6
F6 was
Was played.
played,
and h4.
Ah, well, so h4.
So he decided not to go knight c4.
Yeah, but we've blundered, and he apparently, I mean, by he I mean VE has blundered, because yeah, that's very simple solution. h4, you cannot take on h4 because knight g6, So queen f5 and bishop c2. Very simple.
Yeah,
No,
so we can claim
no
that
mystery.
White is better.
Why not winning?
At least better.
So the queen for 2 minor pieces should be. Ah, okay. So at least he's getting, he's getting one of the exchanges.
And
there.
also the bishop is a bit
bishop
stuck.
f5. All right. So that's not as simple. Rook e1, bishop g7. I can see it. Yeah, the bishop on h2 is not great.
Yeah, but the pawn in 5 is. I can't say that it is untouchable, but yes, because black may take with the bishop, and
he will get to this pawn. Rook f5 is another.
Yeah.
Say reinforcement. Rook f5, king h7, and then finally.
So what
take
to do
on
with
e5.
white there? How to
So interestingly enough, it's
secure the advantage?
It's not that simple. Was he forced? If we are talking move 23, was he forced to take? Or later, yeah, rook c2, of course, yeah, fe5. Here, could white do something else? Or
I think not really.
it's like he could save the exchange by not taking on e5, by doing something else, like queen d1. But then black goes e4 and says, I have some initiative, right?
Yeah, this position reminds me some lines of King's Indian defense. Well, I remember one famous blitz, but still famous game between Kramnik and Kasparov, where Kasparov sacrificed the queen sacrifice
for 2 minors in Averbach line, I believe, or Petrosyan line.
Yeah, Petrosyan, right.
An early d5, yeah.
Yeah, it was somewhere
anyway,
94.
Search, Kramnik, Kasparov, blitz. I believe it was in Moscow as well.
Yeah, 1994 probably.
One of the really, really nice games in the King's Indian. G3. Played by Yanni Pomnishi in our position. Yeah, well,
but
picturesque.
C4
first. Yeah, pawn knight b4, queen d2,
bishop takes e5.
No, he took with the rook first.
Sorry,
of course. Yeah, he took with the rook. Rook takes, bishop takes, and then g3.
And now the structure completely reminds me of King's Indian defense.
Clever. Yeah, but I think what Jan does is very clever. Just opening the position so that. This way you can prove that the queen is stronger piece.
And the way he's trying to prove that black is not worse. I mean, obviously there.
Yeah. Okay. So what do? You take on g3 and then bishop
I just
g3.
play king g7 and rook f7 probably.
G7, rook f7.
Starting with rook f7, which is
queen d8. Then.
Yeah, queen d8. I'm wondering.
Yeah, it's like the structure is not compact enough.
Yes.
And usually.
And knight is restricted.
Yeah, usually you prefer the bishop, I mean, trying to set up a fortress in positions like that, you prefer the bishop because knight cannot really shift quickly from one wing to another.
But the problem is that I think that we couldn't avoid the trade of bishops. Otherwise, some bishop c7.
Yeah, bishop c7, bishop d6. No, I mean, I think the position is just bad. I think the position was just bad. So here, how do you even keep it?
That's a good question.
Could it be that you have to give the c pawn, like you go c5 for instance,
or give the b pawn playing rook f5?
I mean,
I'm trying to activate.
This might be, by the way,
knight.
Rook f5. No, maybe you're not actually. Maybe you don't care. Maybe just claim that no, this is not a fortress. Now I realize. Yeah, check. King goes. Queen c7. You go to h6 for instance. I take.
Maybe I can play queen b8 first.
But this is like you're trying to get a tempo.
The position.
Maybe you'll get, but okay. Queen f7. I don't see much of a counterplay from black side. Yeah, even if you take on b7 immediately, that's
even there.
Yeah, and what I thought that it could be some sort of a fortress, but the moment I realized that white takes and then goes queen b6 and then goes c5. So the a5 pawn is also gone.
Yep.
The other way to do it, to try to do it, would be to go c5, and after say queen d6 to go king g7, after queen c5 to go knight c6. So claiming that I will keep it like that. I will protect the b pawn with my rook, and try to pretend that you're not breaking through.
I mean.
there should be some way.
An hour later, I think that we have to play king g2, g4, and king g3. Otherwise, how to cross the f file?
Well, there is also an idea to break through with queen b6, c5, and then b4.
Also,
So, yeah,
but it's connected with some counter
once
chances.
again, objectively, this should it
should be
should be winning. Yeah, that in rapid, of course, you do. Well, I mean, you keep playing no matter what. I mean, that's if you lose, it's the last game of the match. So, obviously, we will try to find all the chances. That's what he does in.
That is the current position. While we start to think.
F takes g3, and he think. Yeah, I think he's got some
he
time.
looks puzzled.
So far, how does it look? It does look that Hikaru is gonna be through. It does look that Jan is going to win.
Yeah, we can briefly.
Yeah, once again, Nakamura
game.
Dubov. Yeah, Nakamura Dubov one more time. Exchange up. Still, but yeah, the question is if f3
probably
is
rook e3.
takeable.
Unfortunately,
Not really. Yeah.
Or even rook d3 knight e2. That's why rook e3.
Rook e3 and then takes on c3.
So black is more or less forced to take on d4, or
yeah, but this is
maybe we can start with. Okay, it doesn't change the evaluation of position, but maybe I can try to.
Yeah, there is no way.
Weird like b4.
Before a takes, or should I snap take on f6 whenever I have a chance? I don't know. Maybe I should have taken on f6 immediately. It's whatever. You are planning to let me do it, so a takes. Yeah, I mean, I don't see how white is supposed to lose if
I just take
taking
on
on f6 puts the rook on b2.
Yeah, so the fate of the match is
decided. Yeah,
decided.
I mean, it's white should be completely winning in this position, and once again, I'm kind of trying to say that I don't see the way I'm losing, right? Even though I believe Hikaru, if the opportunity presents itself, he will win this game. He will not offer a draw in a winning position. Right, so this match looks over. Nepo's match looks very close to over, because I don't really see
he has
black
a huge advantage, and it's quite difficult to defend this kind of position.
Yeah, so the only intriguing game is Grischuk against Wesley So, which is quite likely, I would say, to go to, to be a draw and to go to another
tiebreak.
To go to shorter time controls. So can we have a camera on Grischuk and Wesley So, because the other two games seem to be decided. Yeah. And now the question is, of course, I mean, what's the situation with the time?
We can barely see it because of the light.
The reflection. So Grischuk's the move. What was the... so g5 was played by Wesley So, at some point. a4, so he provoked some weaknesses. This, rook f5.
Yeah, so he decided not to take on f4 because of h takes g5, which can probably be lost for black because of the pawn structure.
So rook d5.
Yeah.
So 4 isolated pawns in case of hg5, rook g5, but
the bishop.
Kind of not enough material, right? And then he might trade another pawn with some a5 on that wing. Yeah. Still no move from Grischuk. Wouldn't be nice to. Would have been nice to see the time, but he doesn't seem to be like in a real hurry. So apparently time's enough. That's okay. To be honest, I don't really see what else white can do
instead of taking on g5.
Yeah, I mean you can play say a5 but how does it? A5 knight c5.
By the way, can I play knight b2 there?
Okay, first takes on
first
he takes.
I mean, my idea was, like in this position after playing knight b2 there is king d5. But Grischuk decided to play a5 first.
A5 first, yeah. So bishop to c7 and Wesley So leaves the board.
Probably he has enough time to...
So now knight f4 provokes something. Provokes weaknesses.
Or maybe, yeah, because it's a kind of a trap, because after... No, it's not a trap, I can play rook e5.
Rook e5, king d3. King d3. It might be a sort of a trap. Takes. And
no, but you take on c5.
c5, but that's perhaps still a draw. King c6. Yeah.
Okay, a6.
Yeah, a6. What draw I'm talking about? No, for some mysterious reason.
Yes, but it's still unclear. I mean, you take on f4.
King takes, and you take.
Yeah, I think I take on c5 first.
I don't want to calculate this. Knight c5.
No, so probably it's just lost for black.
Wait, knight c5 was played instead of knight f4. It's a different version. Knight c5 here. Here I don't see the reason why he can't go rook e5.
Maybe it's just an only move. Okay, we can try e5.
E5's well, like not terrible, but wait, it might be terrible. Rook e3. What do you do? It's like you have to play rook g. Yeah, rook g4, but you can, yeah.
Can I? Like if you just simply make a check. I have only rook d4 there because of rook d7 after king e7.
And then like takes king d3.
Yeah, and there is no bishop e5
yeah,
because of knight b7.
Those are realistic winning chances.
Or maybe just simply king d5 and I'm overestimating.
Knight b3, bishop d6, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel something here. Yeah, like e5 is not the move you really want to make.
So knight f4 has not less sense than knight c5. But by the way, like...
Yeah, but still, rook e5, how do we react to rook f5?
If we just simply do the same?
King d3, you mean? Yeah?
Yeah.
Rook takes, king takes, yeah.
I think it may be winning.
I'm not sure winning.
I'm not sure...
That's like king e7.
Yeah. What
king
is the next move?
Not that many moves for black, I have to agree, right? That, like bishop d8 would lose. I mean, it's like black's position is not very flexible. But still, it's like 4 pawns each. White has some pawns on dark squares, and particularly b4 is not moving anywhere anytime soon. Bishop d6 and king d7, right? And then this, yeah, but
yeah,
then
you can simply take and play bishop c5.
Go bishop c5, even attacking f2.
Yeah. Still not so clear.
So these guys are likely to make a draw.
Yes, but Wesley is still
at least that's the conclusion. Maybe we are missing something after rook e5. Well, rook g6 is
more or less
the worst. Yeah, the worst, huh? Out of them.
Yeah,
rook
I
d4,
make a check, and after
that's
king e5, I might
you just
have
go
something.
rook d7.
Yeah,
just go rook d7. That's
just simply winning.
This is terrible. So rook g6 is not a move, and e5, honestly, even though we couldn't find why it is not possible, but it
feels like it
feels bad. I know it simply feels bad.
Yeah, so rook e3 more or less logical.
Rook e3, rook h4 was another move.
And what if I play king d5
you can
there?
play king d5.
No, but there is a check.
King c4.
And maybe knight e6.
All right. Yes, there is. So that means
maybe rook e5 is forced.
Rook. Wait. Yeah, rook
This
e5 is forced, or no. Here we were looking at e5, rook e3, and rook g4 as the last resource for black. So that after the check, you do have rook d4.
But you know, like maybe I can still play knight e4 and f3, claiming that I'm still better.
Positional. Yeah, that's what's happening. Rook is on e3, rook g4, knight e4 check.
Yeah, so
exactly.
Knight king d5 is not
like king e6
possible because knight
king e6 is the only move.
Yeah, because
more
king
or less.
e7 is
Otherwise, there are
less
some
logical.
There are some like checks.
Yeah, I just can continue with king d3.
This way or the other way, because king f3 with rook c3 being a point is also attractive.
Yes,
right?
maybe it has
f3. A tempo move might be a move as well. But wait, just go f3. So the rook leaves and we go rook c3.
But do we need to rush?
Like
I mean,
to
playing
hurry.
f3, yeah.
Yeah, f3 is it's one of the moves that you really have to understand. You do want or don't want.
But maybe f3 is better because after king f3 there is some counterplay connected with king f5, and it's not so clear what to do next because at some point I'm chained.
Ah, so you mean I won't be able to
move? It's a kind
yeah,
of
like rook e2,
okay,
rook
e2
e1 is still there, but
yeah,
it's kind of tied down to defense of this knight
yeah.
on
So
e4.
if f3,
f3
rook goes
yeah.
back.
Yeah, but it's also quite straight. No, rook g8 is particularly bad one, I guess, because of rook c3.
So that's
No,
why
you
rook
can
g6
protect,
probably.
rook g6 or rook g7,
Yes.
just not to run into any sort of forks. Yeah, rook g3, rook to c3.
But it's still
for
maybe
instance.
some tactics.
That's quite annoying. I have
And now
to say.
white have another plan. Maybe they can just simply play rook c1 and rook h1.
Yes. Yeah, well, those
And-
weaknesses.
And then after rook h6, some rook h4 and
Those
g4.
weaknesses, yeah.
Too much weaknesses for black
Wait,
in this
so knight
position.
e4 check. Wesley
Wesley's
is thinking after knight e4 check. Is there... Ah, like we said, king e6. It might be that king e7 is another resource. Don't know. Don't see why it is.
Yeah, maybe
Why would it be better than than
then
king
playing
e6?
king c and then king d7, right?
Because in this case you do allow me to go king f3,
But still king e6.
king e6 now.
And then you play rook c3.
Yeah, then I play rook c3.
And after king e5, simply take on c6.
So that's...
I think
that
Grischuk is
something might happen.
most likely to convert his advantage into a point.
I believe something has finished.
So let's-
Nakamura Dubov draw. Ah, yeah, draw, which means
but
Nakamura
in
is
this position.
Nakamura is true. Rook a4 offering a draw. Okay, yeah. So that's
Yeah, it's up to him.
why. Yeah, but why to bother converting? Yeah,
Right.
I perfectly understand Hikaru's decision.
So and
Perfectly understand
Nepomniachtchi
Hikaru's
against
decision.
Wei E.
Yeah, Nepo against Wei, we can check. Well, it's still a game, but should be completely winning for Jan. I believe he can proceed with h5, simply exchanging this pawn, and then the knight is too far away on the king, on the queen side, and so basically, and we were told that Jan has already finished his game, so maybe we are somewhat behind in the transmission of moves. So that's the only game which is left. Grischuk, the game at our screen, at our actual camera, is the only game which is left. Nepo has won, so he is
He's
through
through
to
the
the
semi-finals.
semi-final. So we
at
do
least
have
one Russian player.
yeah. We do have one semi-final, which is Wojtaszek Nakamura, and then we have.
I saw that according to the roster, Wojtaszek is playing with a part of that where
no, it's
Nepomniachtchi-
the lower.
I think Wojtaszek
So it's Wojtaszek
Nepomniachtchi.
Nepomniachtchi, yeah, I'm mistaken. Yes, it's Wojtaszek Nepomniachtchi, and then the upper,
Nakamura is waiting
the upper
for
net, yeah.
his compatriot or Alexander Grischuk, and most likely that's.
It's gonna be
yeah.
tense in both cases.
And we should
actually.
remind you the position on the board on the right
Yeah,
side of the screen.
you can
Yeah, I've tried
switch to Grischuk's game.
Yeah, obviously. So now it's all correct.
So we got to the position we were looking at. Yeah, rook to c1, king d7, and then
And
no,
do
wait,
you
rook
have a
to
tactical blow?
rook c1. Wait, and what was the move black played? I don't quite understand because
No, it was like rook c3, then king d7, and rook c1. So now it's black to move.
it's black to move. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very annoying, and you know, like Wesley played bishop d6, allowing some pins on d file. So he thinks that the pawn endgame.
I mean that's a big one actually. That's a big one because
But you know,
you
I-
have
I-
to make sure.
I can't say that it's very optimistic because it's not so clean how to proceed with white. For example, if I just let's.
The question is if you
Yeah.
have to unpin or not. You probably have to. Yeah, king e7. My question is if I just stake everything on d6.
Yeah, obviously. So that's the most principle.
Stakes, and I
I'm
go
very
g4.
but there is h4.
King f2. Yeah, I
And
mean,
probably
I'm
you
not
may be in
sure.
time.
I'm not sure, but let's see because this is like the forcing attempt. Now taking on g4 is probably better. It's kind of outside past pawn.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that this
So
is
white
very...
in every position white will have a couple of extra tempos.
So h4, king to
F2.
f2. And then what do you do? Maybe you are in time running forward, no? Because king
But
e7 I
no,
thought
but you
we are
know, it's-
winning.
it's
King
a
g2,
Zugzwang. I
yes,
think it's a
exactly.
Zugzwang.
This one I've seen, yes. a6, but king f4. You take, black takes on f3, and then black wins.
Because it's a check.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I saw that I'm very bad in evaluating, but Grischuk went for the
Grischuk
pawn endgame.
went not really for a pawn endgame. He has taken on d6
And
with the
yeah,
knight, so
so
he
now
still
he-
has an option to keep the rooks,
Yeah.
which he might use and probably will.
So if rook
h1, I suspect.
Like rook d4, rook h5, I'm taking on e5, or I'm playing rook h4.
Yeah. Rook h1's played. On rook h6,
Maybe rook h4 first.
rook h4 plus moving the king forward. Yeah, I mean it's like really, really annoying. Yeah.
Like king f6.
King e3, you're in time.
Yeah, but if, for example, g4.
King
I mean,
g5.
the question was
another.
if I take and go for the c pawn. No, but there is king g5 and
Yeah, no.
no, it
Once
doesn't
again,
work.
you're not in time.
Yeah, so the position was
Interesting.
h1.
Will Wesley so save this one? You know what? e4.
Okay, obviously I'm not forced to go g4 there. But black will have some
King
counterplay.
e3, for instance. King g5, then switch the rook to c4. I mean,
Which is very clever.
He's still pressing. Let's put it this way. I mean, black is not enjoying this game.
Yeah, obviously, and I think that
Black is not enjoying this game.
white made enough weaknesses in black's pawn structure.
Black
black's
made those weaknesses himself when he
Yeah.
entered this position.
decided to play this opening.
When he entered this position.
I would say that okay, it's not an optimism.
Rook to g6.
he decided to
so
play rook
he
g6.
decided to go for the position pawn down.
Yeah, so
Let's see. So after rook h1, rook g6, kind of a forcing line. Yeah, rook takes g3, check on e5, and king d6. Now, an important question. Rook e4, which keeps everything solid but allows c5, yeah, or rook somewhere on 5th rank. That those are like two key possibilities for Grischuk.
so
Rook to
if rook e4.
Rook e4. Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, for example, king d5,
King d5. I don't know.
king e3.
I mean, if you want, you can play rook g4 maybe. Just to. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why it's bad. It's like
No, obviously,
the
yeah.
rook is not hanging. But then it's hard with such an active king. It's really hard to make progress. King e3, right? King e3 and
Somewhere
then
rook h1, I think.
then try to give and then we give a check on d4.
Right.
So
to
that-
determine the position of black's
the
king.
king goes to e file somewhere to e5, let's
Maybe
say,
f4,
and we
and
give
then
a
we
check,
switch the directions.
and we go to the other side.
And there is rook c1, and it's still
Rook c4. Yeah, this I would
Yes,
I would
rook c4.
claim white is making substantial progress. I mean, this
Probably.
particular one after rook c4,
Yeah, rook
he's
c4
probably
is-
winning. He's probably winning. So that's the
so rook e5.
rook e5, king d6, rook e4, and then Wesley's to move. C5 is, well, an attempt, you know.
Yeah, so
The more
I think,
pawns I exchange,
I think I
the-
have to take, because after b5, king d5, or maybe I have something.
B5,
Maybe I can play a6 there,
that's quite tricky once again.
like c4.
Wait, but why do we play king d5? You check on g2. So check
And-
on
and
g2, king d3, rook b2, and then
Forcing.
I stopped after king c4, but there is a check
Yeah,
from
there is
b4.
a check.
Yeah, rook b2.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
then he's
So it just doesn't
getting
work at all.
Getting the pawn back.
So that's why, following my intuition, I
C5.
saw that white have to take there.
Alright, so he does it the other way around. He's playing rook g5. Okay,
So
yeah.
maybe his idea is to play rook b5 and then c5.
And look, and this one tends to be really tense. So Grischuk is on 10 seconds. Well, you know what? I believe the position is simple enough. Let's try to watch it from the camera view, like full screen, because yeah, now the time factor becomes very important, and if there are some, you know, subtle nuances in this position, we can try to tell them from, let's say, you know, like very short variations. So
Yeah.
just so if we can go full screen on the board and leave alone the, so kind of leave the analysis board, yeah, that would be better. So after putting the rook on c4, still fighting against c6, c5, yeah, not allowing to break through with c6, c5.
So Wesley wasn't very happy with rook
Yeah,
b5 idea.
rook g1, king e5, sorry, king e3,
King d5.
king d5. And now, for instance, once again,
Check.
white can give a check.
d4.
Ah, no, he goes
Okay,
from
he can
c5,
repeat
that's
at least.
fine. It's fine. Yeah, the pawn on b4 is vulnerable, of course, so you have to be... Yeah, the
Or maybe king d4.
silly thing to be... silly thing will be to lose on time in this game.
Yeah,
King
obviously.
e4, that's fine, yes. Well, actually, the
And
more I look at it, you know...
What if black just simply give a lot of checks? I mean, if I just play rook e1 there.
King to f5, I suspect. And then rook c4, and the moment you start, let's say, trading the pawns, the moment you go c5, my king is already on f5, the pawn is on f4. And now we get to this moment where both of them are very short on time. I don't really see... It's clear that, yeah, on 10 seconds he made a move. Yes, check was given, king went to f5.
Not so clear how to hold this
Yeah,
one.
because at the very beginning I just thought, yeah, well, it's
Yes,
a
rook
rook
c4,
endgame,
king
one
d5.
pawn, it's got to be a draw.
So rook e4 is probably...
Rook e4 is what you do, yeah. Rook e4 is what you do.
So c5 is not working because of the check?
Yeah, c5, it's just a check, and then you take, yeah. Well, he did play it. Wait a sec. Check's fine, right?
Yeah, check. And... No, I don't know what to...
Check.
Probably he
Yeah, I'm
just
not sure
blundered.
what
Probably he just blundered.
Wesley does. I mean, he can make an argument that he goes with the king somewhere, Grischuk takes with the pawn, and then it will be
A5.
possible to attack a5. But it all takes time, and f-pawn is running. It's
And
on the mission. Seconds left for Wesley.
Yeah, but where to go? If king c6
Yeah, wait.
I take with rook,
I'm not sure if he will be in king d4. Okay. So pawn takes
pawn
now.
takes rook b5.
And rook b5 immediately.
and
Rook
maybe
b5.
king
Okay.
e6 or f4, starting with f4, rook a5, c6. And then, if for example rook a1, there is some rook c5 ideas as well.
Yeah, wait. Now, what does Grischuk...
I think if
What does Grischuk do?
yeah, so my prediction is f4, rook a5, c6.
Okay, let's not forget that there is a6. I mean, first of all, there is a6 for white. So f4, rook takes, c6. Right, you,
No,
you,
c6
you
and
got
rook
to-
a6 probably, which
and
is
then
a
you
bit
go rook e6.
inaccurate.
You
Or maybe
go
king
rook e6.
e6 now,
Yeah, you can go with the king as well. Can go with the king.
which is very solid. Grischuk, 4 seconds.
4 seconds, king e6. Now, black cannot take on c5. C5, he's like miles away from.
Yeah, like
King
check.
e6 is a good move because now king d6, he might, you know, change the pawn. Yeah, change the
Change the-
opinion
yeah.
about the pawn he's going to
Promoting,
promote.
yeah.
Yeah. And now a check from a6, he simply goes to d7. He goes to support the c pawn.
Yeah, so obviously
King
this
to
position is
d7.
most
Yeah, this should be winning. I mean,
Rook
if this
F6
is
is the
not
only
winning,
one.
I don't know what is.
c6 and
C6.
simply rook a5.
Takes. And c7 wins. c7 would
c7
win.
check.
And
and
rook
rook
e7. Rook e7.
Oh.
Yeah, check and rook e7. Yeah, c7.
No, but c7 or king e5 and still we
yeah, I
play.
mean, it's still a fight. But this way...
Oh, but there is some counterplay connected with king c4 and king b4, but probably black
No,
is
no,
simply
king
just in
c8.
time.
Just go king c8.
King c8,
King c8. It's a basic rook hanging.
Yeah,
king
and
c4,
c7.
c7.
Yeah, that's it.
c7. That's it. That's
So Grischuk.
that's you know
is
that's
most likely
what's
to
written
promote.
in those books. Just guys, build the bridge. Yeah. So king to c7. Oh, sorry, king to c8. Next move,
Yeah,
pawn to
obviously.
c7. Then grab the pawn on e7, and that will be it.
Yeah, so c7.
And then takes on a7. Next move, king b8. Right. Absolutely no way back for Wesley Saw. Rook takes a7. Yes.
And
That's
probably
it.
Wesley will resign.
So nice endgame technique by Alexander Grischuk, and well, we did promise a longer day today, but never happened. All 3 tiebreaks were broken in 25 plus 10 games. So a mini match of 2 games was enough to break the ties, and the winners are Hikaru Nakamura, who won with black in game 1 against Daniil Dubov, and then the second game finished in a draw.
And Jan
Jan
Nepomniachtchi.
Nepomniachtchi and Alexander Grischuk both won with white in game 2.
So there are 2 Russians left in the tournament. Hikaru Nakamura, who is a
Representative of United States,
and Radoslav Wojtaszek.
Polish Radoslav Wojtaszek. Yeah, so well, in a few seconds we should be able to show the results, the standing, the pairs for tomorrow, and starting from tomorrow, by the way, the semi-final starts. So back to classical chess from tomorrow, so 2 more games of classics, and I personally hope that there finally will be some results. So far, how many classical games we had? Yeah, well, we had a lot on the second day of round 1. Yeah, we had a lot of decisive results where like practically nothing went on a tiebreak. Yeah, so the scores, as we've already mentioned, Hikaru Nakamura, after winning with the black pieces, made a draw with white in a much better position. So he knocks out current world rapid champion Daniil Dubov from Grand Prix Moscow and advances himself to the semi-finals. Jan Nepomniachtchi, after making 3 solid draws, has won the game.
Okay, but both games where he played with white pieces, he was pushing and trying to make. We made a mistake, and it paid off in the game 4 finally.
It's like game 4 was very, very strange. I mean, because some
opening decision was
some choices
at least
are
surprising,
just inexplicable. It's like first of all, why would you play the Caro-Kann and then the inferior version of inferior line of a Caro-Kann? That's one thing, and the other thing, well, unless f6 was really a blunder, which might have been, right, the move f6, after which by force Jan got the queen for 2 minor pieces, right, or it was sacrificed, but then it was like it wasn't properly judged. Anyhow, VE leaves the tournament. Jan Nepomniachtchi is through, and same goes for Alexander Grischuk. Well, and I have to say Grischuk is a classy player in this tournament. I mean, he's classy player everywhere he plays, but in this tournament it really goes well for him, because I can't recall a single worse position. I mean, okay, I have no clue what was happening in Rapid Game 1.
Because we don't have the engine, but it seemed to us that Grischuk was almost controlling.
Yeah, it felt like
what happened on the board.
He had a good counterplay. Wesley decided not to risk, decided to repeat the moves, and he, in a way, he was punished because he repeated the moves with white. He was relying on his skills of defending slightly worse positions with black when he went for this opening. It's not the only opening Wesley Saw is playing, but he went for it. And he was punished. He was gradually outplayed in this endgame.
Okay, we can say that it was kind of justice, but Grischuk just did what he usually does when he's in a very good shape.
Okay, so as I said, please make sure to tune in tomorrow for the semi-finals. It will be 3 p.m. local time here in Moscow. I don't think we are doing any interviews today after the rapid portion. Well, we do. Well, that was clumsy. So we do have an interview. We have interview with Alexander Grischuk, and I don't know. I don't think we are coming back afterwards. So one more time, please make sure to tune in for the semi-finals, which is 3 p.m. Moscow time tomorrow. Listen to the Alexander Grischuk now, and see you.
And our guest is Alexander Grischuk, who has just outplayed Wesley So in his match and qualified for the semi-final. So Alexander, please share your impressions on this match, because it looked quite equal at some point, so you managed to win the final game of Rapid.
Yes. Okay, the first game today, I thought it was a good game. But unfortunately, between the games today, I have checked chess bomb, and apparently I was almost winning in the end, and it was just an absolutely terrible game with, people in the chat saying like, "What a chicken, Grischuk." I mean, how can he agree? But I just really didn't think I have an advantage. I mean, I thought I have a promising position, but I actually thought that since he didn't make any obvious mistakes, that it would be logical that there is a repetition, but apparently I just completely misunderstood the position, and I even saw this queen e7, I guess with idea knight c6, queen b7, and now attack b2, but I thought that the rook from a7 will pin my bishop, but it seems like I'm just winning here, and second game, obviously I got a very nice advantage. And then, I don't know, my technique was, 50% of Magnus, which proved to be enough in this position. But I mean, it was far from fantastic technique from me, but not terrible either.
But do you often read what other people write about your games in the internet?
No, but because on chess bomb you just see. I mean, I don't read specifically, but when you see Grischuk, chicken, okay, somehow, like keywords, it gets your attention.
Yes. And you had a very tough match, and would you like to have an extra free day before the semi-final?
Yes, okay, I think it's in the first grade, children learn that 2 + 2 = 4, and in grade 2 they learn that 4 divided by 2 is 2. But for all chess guys, 4 divided by 2 is 3 and 1. So they get a rest day after 3 rounds, which is absolutely mind-boggling for me, but okay.
And your next rival will be Nakamura, so what do you expect from this match?
Actually, again, I didn't want to know whom I'm going to play. No, of course, I think he's maybe number 2 in the world in this format, because he's after Magnus, of course, because I mean, his results lately in Rapids and Blitz are just, tells for themselves.
Thank you very much, Alexander. Good luck to you.
Thank you.